Meet your TV.
There we go. Now we are live. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first live stream of your boy, Mr. CJ Talk Sports. I am here with my lovely co-host, Mr. Nate Williams, aka Nate Talk Sports. Nate, how you doing, my man?
Dude, this is... I...
What the heck happened? Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I think we may have an issue with Nate and his connection. But again, we are going to be breaking down, or at least I am. I am going to be breaking down some of my most anticipated movies of 2021. Again, unfortunately, a lot of big movies we were forced to miss last year after the catastrophe, which was 2021. Again, I am CJ Talk Sports. What's going on, Joseph, my man? Hop on the stream if you want to. Let's get Nate back in here.
My bad. I was trying to send Logan the link.
Oh no, it's okay. I sent Logan, Corey, and as a matter of fact, let me drop the link to Joseph.
So we're talking about movies tonight?
If you want to preview the Giants training, if you want to preview the Giants training camp, that's all good. But I really kind of wanted to break down some of my most anticipated movies of the year. But if you want to say that,
I have a movie that which everyone should watch. If you guys haven't watched Mortal Kombat, dude, that movie's insane.
Oh my goodness. And you know what? As we're recording this live, ladies and gentlemen, I have yet to see Mortal Kombat yet.
It's the funniest movie and also one of the best movies to watch.
I've heard that from many critics that I know and trust. From what I'm hearing, not that it's really a high bar, that it's the best video game movie ever since World of Warcraft. It looks grisly, man. It looks a lot of fun. I'm probably gonna make time to watch and review it before the playoffs start tomorrow. As a matter of fact, after we're done recording this, I'm going to be hitting the CJ Talks sports channel, and I'm going to preview all the matchups in the NBA playoffs, as well as my predictions for the NBA finals. Who do I have winning the East? Who do I have winning the West? And who do I have winning the whole thing? But yes, Mortal Kombat was a movie that I was really looking forward to coming into the new year. I love the video game. Growing up as a child, I love the violence. Scorpion. Well, what's my guy?
But I'll give you a hint. Johnny Cash is not in the movie.
I heard they replaced him with
him. It's gonna be a sequel. That he will have his own thing. It'll be the sequel. He'll be the next.
Yes, I did hear that the movie has done great in terms of the box office. Critics really adored it. Fans really enjoyed it. Again, I'm really hoping that it gets a sequel. So we do. I think the first one, from what I've seen, looks more like a preview of the actual tournament, and then the second one is going to be basically an all tournament movie. Yeah. And that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to. But again, I want to kind of get in the world of getting back in video game movies, because
dude, that movie. When I watched it was me, my dad, and my brother. Oh my, it was amazing.
Let me ask you this: did you guys watch it on HBO Max, or did you see it in theaters?
That's why I went there.
Oh my goodness! I don't know what did I see? What did I see that weekend when Mortal Kombat was coming out? I think I was still. No, I wasn't in North Carolina at that time. I can't remember where I was that I ultimately did. Oh no, the problem was it wasn't playing at any of my local theaters. that's why I didn't see it in theaters. But I'm definitely gonna try to catch it on HBO Max probably sometime this weekend, and then I'll film a review on it immediately afterwards. But again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stream. Again, I am CJ Talks Film, CJ Talks Movies. I'm with my guy Nate Talks Sports. Nate, why don't you kick it off? What are some of your most anticipated movies as we're heading into the summer of 2021?
Basically, I want to see I want to see the sequel of Mortal Kombat. That's something if they do that, because they've been dying for it. They've been saying that they want to do it now. They already have the backup. I think they said they had this for like years. They just
Well, as a matter of fact, while I have it on my mind, let me look up how much Mortal Kombat did. How well did it do in theaters this year? Because I know it did pretty well as far as its opening weekend. Oh, it's approaching 8. I mean, thankfully the movie only cost $55 million, so that's not. Thankfully, it wasn't all that expensive, but it should make it. It should make somewhere between $80 and $90 million in terms of total box office. So that's not terrible. It's pretty solid. But again, man, much like you, I'm really hoping that they make enough money to where they could do a sequel. Because I'm off. What's up?
I got a good one. Space Jam.
Space Jam, and you know what? As a matter of fact, yes. Let's get right into.
It's the LeBron version. It's the LeBron version.
Bruh. The Space Jam. Obviously, I saw.
Because I love the old Space Jam. It's funny.
The original Space Jam was such a fun childhood movie of mine. When I heard a number of years ago that Warner Brothers was going to be doing a remake, at first I thought Steph should have been the lead because, you know, at that point he was still kind of like the face of the NBA. I thought it made a lot of sense to appease to a younger audience, but obviously you have LeBron James starring in it. He has his own movie. He has his own movie company. He starred in a number of movies. This would be like his first, like, big, almost blockbuster type of movie, and the fact that he has to win a game in order to save his son's life, I'm all for it. This movie looks cheesy. It looks silly. It looks every bit as ridiculous as the first Space Jam was. The only thing I'm hoping, we gotta get a superstar cameo from at least one celebrity. My man Bill Murray nearly stole the whole thing. Again, watching it as a child, but again, it makes too much sense to have a guy like LeBron star in this movie.
You know why I think they put LeBron than Steph?
Well, yeah,
LeBron is so much popular. He's so much popular than Steph because everyone knows LeBron James. Like, you go out to the street and you ask this random guy, "Do you know who LeBron James is?" 100% he'll say yes.
Oh yeah, LeBron's one of the biggest celebrities on the planet.
And you go out to the street, you're like, "Yeah, Steph Curry." People are like, who?
I have a feeling that most people wouldn't know who Steph Curry is, but I feel like LeBron has been such
They won't know him. They'll know his wife, but they won't know him.
Oh my goodness.
His wife is on TV. His wife is literally on a TV show.
And Steph is still one of the biggest faces on the NBA. I mean, I'm not saying that more people would know
who are not basketball fans.
Yeah, you may have a point there. I feel like not if you're like a big basketball fan, you would know who Steph Curry is. But even the biggest casual NBA fans would know who LeBron is. So yeah, in that aspect, you know, LeBron is a bigger star, and plus, if you really think about it, he is kind of like the Michael Jordan of this generation.
Yeah, he's MJ.
He's the biggest star in the NBA since Jordan. So,
I got a link for Logan in the chat.
Logan, are you here?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay. I'll send you the link real quick, Logan, so you could hop on. Okay. Crap. Nate, if you want to take it from there, tell me why is Space Jam such a high anticipated movie for you?
Jam, because I love the original one, and I love basketball movies in general.
Is Space Jam your favorite basketball movie?
It probably is. Besides, what's it called? Besides, which just the one that had Kevin Durant? Which is the one?
My god, Thunderstruck.
That one was amazing. I love.
Oh my goodness, Thunderstruck is such. Logan, what's going on, buddy boy?
What's good, bro?
Oh man, we're discussing some of our most anticipated movies of the year. For those who may not know, this is my good friend Logan, Mr. Logan's Giant Zone. He posts a lot of news as far as, what the Giants are going to do as far as free agency, the draft, the whole thing.
I've done too many mock drafts to even count.
Yeah, this man is a mock guru, bro.
Yeah, this man
will Kuiper without the being an idiot.
This kid is already looking into the 2021 draft day class, and I'm like, dude, I haven't even begun to start focusing on what I'm going to do as far as training camp goes, so I can't even fathom what am I going to do as far as what the draft is going to look like.
I always try to get into like prospects early, just so that when I hear about them like months later, I'm not confused on who they are.
It was me and Logan's idea to do it. It was because me and Logan talked about it.
I've already started looking into high school prospects.
We looked, and then if there's Giant fans watching this, you guys better watch Evan Neal's tape. That man is a monster, bro. That man will literally carry a team, bro, on the offensive line.
But obviously this is a movies channel, so I'm not going to get too much into sports. Because
we already talked about Space Jam. And all
this is CJ Talks Movies, but and I already lost my train of thought. So CJ, you can do.
Again, but not as I'm going to point this out, and I'm probably going to have to repeat myself like 500 times during this stream.
I'll be right back. I'm going to go talk to my dad and see if I can get him on.
Alright. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, just to let you guys know, I am about as big as a horror aficionado as you could find. Horror is basically what I live and breathe.
Send Carrie the link.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'll send your dad the link again. So he can hop on.
Are you guys a big Black Widow fan?
Oh, are you kidding me?
See, there's like for two reasons.
So
are you kidding?
That's where I'm really excited for Black Widow.
Bro, I'm not a fan, to be honest.
A lot of people aren't, though. That makes sense. A lot of people aren't.
Okay, so basically, I can get it.
I'll give it 15 minutes.
My dad says give you 15 minutes. Okay. Peace. Okay. So basically, I guess you could say I'm a fan, but not for the stereotypical reasons. Those are other private reasons. But the actual reason I'm not a fan is because there's literally no character there. It's literally she literally just says these lines. There's no like actual character there. She's literally just saying something mean or sexually, and I'm like, are you kidding me? There's literally nothing there.
Black Widow has no character, and that is
in the movies.
My knowledge is only based on the movies, and as a matter of fact, that is probably my number 2 most anticipated movie of the year, Black Widow.
So you can finish.
I've loved Black Widow ever since the second Iron Man. I love her character. I love her backstory. How much of a tragedy it is. Her relationship not only with S.H.I.E.L.D. but the Avengers. I don't know, man. Just something about Black Widow's past, man, really draws a light to me. I just love those tragic backstories there's so much groundwork with Natasha Romanoff that we really haven't seen as far as the movies go. But again, that is one of the reasons why I'm so looking forward to this, because I really want to get all the meat and potatoes as far as what Natasha was before S.H.I.E.L.D., what she was as an assassin, as a weapon, really. And seeing her with this family, the whole thing with Budapest, the red in her ledger, I am just so looking forward. And plus, I am such a sucker for spy thrillers.
For Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, oh my goodness, Scarlett Johansson, she is my freaking wife right there.
That is one botched Botox. I'm not even gonna get it, bro.
I mean, she is just such a badass. She is just such a badass. She was really the heart and soul of the female superheroes as far as the MCU goes.
The MCU? Okay, the MCU. But the best female superhero is Wonder Woman. Let's get that out there.
Duh. I'm talking about...
Let me get into something. When I said no character, I phrased that wrong. I meant whoever writes her lines is horrible at writing lines. Let's be honest.
The character is top notch. Just whoever
the character. What I meant, like the character, her backstory, the story of her, like the comic books, is cool. But the guy that writes her lines, literally, she's never saying anything important. It's either just being snarky or sexual to Captain America.
Wait a minute, hold on. Back the truck up. Do you not remember her role through Infinity War and Endgame?
That's 2 movies. In every other movie, she's just either being snarky or sexual.
Bruh, she was one of the most important characters. She was one of the most important characters in both Civil War and The Winter Soldier. What are you talking about?
I mean, her lines are just bad, bro.
Bro, she was awesome in Winter Soldier. Her line delivery, her role with Steve Rogers was amazing.
No, I'm not saying her role. I'm saying I never said she wasn't a good actor or her character. I need to rephrase this. The character of Black Widow is fine. The role of Black Widow in the movies is fine. What I mean to say is the guy who writes her lines is absolute garbage.
Oh my goodness, I don't even know how to describe that. Civil War and Winter Soldier are 2 of the better written movies in the MCU canon, bar none.
I'm excited for the Black Widow movie, but the problem is, in all the other movies, we never get any backstory. It's either just saying something snarky or sexual. That's it. And to be honest, I haven't watched the Marvel movies in more than a year, so...
it shows. It really shows. She has no dialogue. She's just all sex appeal. What are you talking about?
The last year, I haven't been able to focus on anything except football. I'm sorry.
Bruh.
Alright, let's just go into a no-word topic. Space.
Oh my goodness. But yes,
See, I'm gonna buy CJ a StreamYard membership so we can get his own logo going, my guy.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you so much.
As soon as I get a job and I have money, I'll get you a StreamYard membership, my guy.
We'll see. I mean, I'm going to be start working probably within the next few weeks. I'm going to be going back to working at the airport, and so I should have more money coming in by worst case scenario the end of the month. Yeah. But going on to my next movie, we talked about it briefly when I was on Logan's stream a couple of days ago.
Look at how many draft magazines I have.
There is a sequel, or really more so of a reboot, of a classic franchise of a movie that I have never seen before. But I promise that I'm going to watch the original as well as review it right before I see the rebooting. And that is Ghostbusters: The Afterlife. I am such a huge
Ghostbusters fan. Let's go.
I am such a huge 80s nostalgic film fan, but there are so many classic movies throughout the 80s that I have not seen, and Ghostbusters is ironically one of them.
Yeah, Ghostbusters are a classic, bro.
I know Ghostbusters a little bit. I know how nostalgic it is, how classic the films are, but the reason why this movie is so high up on my list is because of one reason only. Ivan Reitman. He is the son of his father. He is the son of, my God, what is him? Who is the director of from the first Ghostbusters?
Did you send my dad the link?
Yeah, I sent him the link.
Okay, good. I'm sorry.
Okay. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a second. Who directed the first? Oh, excuse me. Ivan Reitman directed the first one. Who directed the second? And who's directing the new Ghostbusters? Jason Reitman. So Ivan Reitman directed the first. Ivan Reitman directed the first Ghostbusters, and his son Jason Reitman is directing the second one. Now, for those who may not know, Jason Reitman has been one of the better film directors over the last number of years. And when I heard that this guy was going to do a rebooted version of the Ghostbusters franchise, I'm like, I'm all in. I'm all in. You got it. The score, you got the trailer from a year ago. It looks phenomenal. The score is bad. The score is bad. You got my man's Finn Wolfhard starring in this movie, and you have Ant-Man himself, Paul Rudd, in this. And I'm like, I am all in on this movie. This is. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You can finish.
This movie looks so. It's. Obviously, it's got that charm. It's got that comedy from the original Ghostbusters movie. But I also feel like this is going to be a much darker, suspenseful movie. And, like I said, dark, suspenseful, and fantastical comedies. I'm all in for. Like I said, Jason Reitman. The fact that he's the one producing and directing this movie. Like I said, I'm a sucker for 80s nostalgia. I'm going to be watching and reviewing the first Ghostbusters, and I cannot wait for the second one. It's going to be a total blast, and I have a gut feeling this might be the first movie of the year to gross $1 billion in the box office. I really think so.
People are gonna be rushing to get in the theaters, bro. Everyone's just gonna be running.
I am going to be there opening weekend, probably opening night. I'm going to get up that morning, watch, film, and review the first Ghostbusters, and then I'm going to hop right onto the closest theater I'm at. That is Disturbing. And catch Ghostbusters Afterlife. So, early on, and this is in no particular order, ladies and gentlemen, my top 2 of my most anticipated movies of the year, Black Widow, it's the MCU, I'm super excited for it.
The MCU.
And also, screw you.
DCU
Logan's gonna make the face of every movie. Yeah, it sucks.
Bro, no,
And,
sorry. I would just like to point out something. Let's all be honest. Ant-Man 2 was garbage.
Not even a chance. I loved Ant-Man. I love Ant-Man and the Wasp.
2. Okay, I love Ant-Man. Here, let me go over all Marvel movies, and I'm gonna rate them on a scale from 1 to 10.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that was going to be part of my next discussion. I wanted to do a quick, not really a review, a quick breakdown of all the MCU movies from the first Iron Man to Spider-Man Far From Home. I don't want to give.
No, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. So if you guys gave it a 0, I could go to North Carolina and may assassin you, bro.
Okay, I'm loading this thing up. Okay, so I want to go over all these on how I think they're rated on a scale from 1 to 10. Then CJ can do so, then Nate can do so. Okay, so Captain America: The First Avenger for me is like a 2.5. No, it's joking. For me, it's like a 9.3.
The first Captain America.
Yes, I love that movie. Now, Captain Marvel, I'll give it like a 5 out of 10. I wasn't a big fan. Now, Iron Man, one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm gonna give it a 9.9 out of 10. The only reason I didn't give it a 10 is because Black Sabbath wasn't in the beginning of it.
Oh my goodness.
Alright, now Iron Man 2, I hate this movie with a burning passion, so I'll give it like a 7. And that's not, I'll give it like a 6.3. Okay, The Incredible Hulk.
I will give you Iron Man 2 is one of the weaker MCU movies, but I still enjoyed the hell out of it.
It's a 7. It's
Let's
a 7.
go.
Yeah, I give it about a 7.5. I give it a 7.5. It's a good watch. It's a good watch.
It's a good movie just to like rewatch.
This is a movie that will make you have crippling depression. The Incredible Hulk, I'm gonna give it like a 2.
I don't mind it. I like Edward Norton as I didn't mind him as the Hulk. I mean, obviously I like Mark Ruffalo a ton better, but I liked Edward Norton for what he was.
It's a 3.
Now,
That movie, they ruined the whole character. Oh, yeah, I just hated it in general.
Now we got Thor from 2011. Okay. I like this movie and I also hate this movie at the same time. So, the problem is with this movie, the script. The actors are fine. The actors are great. But the script is just, like, the new guy that does the Thor movies is great. But the problem with the old guy is, how can we make this movie interesting? Well, take away his powers and give him a human girlfriend to worry about. That's a great storyline. So, I'll give the first Thor movie an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay, I not like when this movie like got 0, bro.
Okay, now, the first Avengers, I'll give it like a 9. Now, the Iron Man 3, one of the most underrated Marvel movies, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. It's not a classic. This is what I love about this movie. They reveal Tony Stark's actual power. It's not the suit, it's his ingenuity. He fights villains by using his brain, not just technology. So that's why I love it.
Look, let's do this. Let's go classic, really good, and then trash.
I want to stop you right there, because that's the whole beauty about the MCU. There is no Batman and Robin in this franchise, okay?
Batman and Robin, it's a masterpiece.
There is not a Fantastic Four within the MCU. There are some...
Bro, my dad loves that movie. He thinks it's great.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap.
No, he does. He likes it. Okay, so Nate said...
So again, then, I'm going to make this one point, then I'm going to let you go, Logan. Again, that's the whole beauty about the MCU is that there are no trash movies. There are movies that are just okay. There are some that we even consider mediocre, but that's not just an atrocious Marvel movie, okay? Pretty much everything in the MCU has been, at the very least, solid. It's been okay. Like, even, I'll agree, Iron Man 2, and for me, Thor 2, Thor the Dark World are very pedestrian, are very mediocre, but I'm not gonna trash them. They're not unwatchable.
I'd like to argue that the second Thor is unwatchable. Okay, now
it's not that bad.
What do you think? Thor the Dark World. I'll give it like a 2 out of 10.
It is not a 2 out of 10. Are you serious?
One of my favorite movies in the MCU,
Yes.
MCU because it is just it's not like a stereotypical superhero movie. It's an edgy spy thriller, and I like those kind of movies. So Captain America: The Winter Soldier, I'll give it a solid 8 out of 10. I think that's a good rating for it.
It should be higher. Like the Winter Soldier, outside of the first Avengers movie, the second Captain America movie for a long time was my favorite MCU movie.
And now this movie is a masterpiece. 10 out of 10. Get Guardians of the Galaxy.
I know what. Yeah, I love Guardians. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. That was really kind of like my first introduction to Star Wars. Because at that point, I hadn't seen any of the Star Wars movies, but Star-Lord stole my freaking heart, and Groot and I wanted a Groot and Rocket buddy cop space thriller so badly, seeing those two together, and Gamora. Freaking Gamora. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make this one point, and I'm really hoping that you guys agree with me. To me, it's the riskier Marvel movies that they do are, for me, the bigger ones. Like, for me, if this movie doesn't work, because remember, at this point in the MCU, all we've gotten was Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America. if this movie doesn't work, if the first Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't work, I don't think Infinity War or Endgame would have been as big as they were.
No, they wouldn't have been because Guardians of the Galaxy is what brought in the cosmic.
Even more so than Thor did, because you talk about when you talk about Guardians of the Galaxy, you're talking about going deep within the cosmos. Like, you're going deep within Celestials, Sentinels. You're delving into all the family. You're delving into all the cosmic relations with Guardians of the Galaxy. So, A+ movie, big for me. Biggest risk that Marvel has ever taken, and it paid off beautifully.
Alright, now we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'll give it a 9. I just love it. And then, okay, Avengers Age of Ultron. This movie is not as bad as people say it is.
No.
I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10. I think that's an okay rating for it. And the only thing is, like, the only problem with the movie is I feel like the script of the movie is one of the more weaker scripts in the plot is what I meant to say. It's one of the more weaker plots in the MCU. But it's not a trash movie. You'll never be bored watching it.
It's just a solid movie.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie. It's very fun, and Drax's comedy just skyrockets to the next level.
If you're bored, you need something to watch it.
Yeah. Okay, Ant-Man 10 out of 10. I love this movie so much.
I love it. I love Ant-Man.
And then, okay, everyone's gonna hate me for saying this.
Don't.
Okay. Captain America: The Civil War. Okay. It's
Don't.
not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. I'm gonna give it about an 8.5 out of 10. Okay.
What?
No. Wait. Give me a minute. You never really read the comics, so let me just explain this real quick. This movie would have been so much damn better if they did it after Endgame. Let me tell you why. Bro, in Civil War, it's just a handful of superheroes fighting in a parking lot. And there was no, real risk to it. Like, Tony, in the comic book, they legitimately killed each other. Sorry for spoilers, they killed each other. But in this movie, they still like each other. They're friends. And Tony isn't, Tony isn't, really serious about the stuff that happened. They're just still friends.
This whole movie is this whole movie, Captain America Civil War, is ultimately why the Avengers lost, spoiler alert, in Infinity War. If it wasn't for the events of Captain America Civil War, they would have still have been together and they would have taken down Thanos as a unit. But because the events that happened in Civil War, they blew up. They basically split up and it became basically two different formations of the Avengers. That's what
I would just like to point out real quick. The Avengers losing in Infinity War is 28-3.
I mean, so the fact that you said Civil War had no stakes, that whole movie is what ultimately split the Avengers apart.
I take back saying it had no stakes, but the problem is they weren't serious about it. When they were fighting, they were still we're friends, right? Yeah.
No, Black Widow and Hawkeye were claiming that they were still going to be friends. Tony, Cap, and Winter Soldier almost killed each other. Tony was going to kill the Winter Soldier if it wasn't for Cap.
In the comic, spoiler alert, they died. It wasn't they.
Okay, and that's the comic books. You can't compare the comic books to the actual movie. You can't.
The reason they, I'm not even getting it. Let's just get into Spider-Man: Homecoming. So
oh my!
It's a 10. It's an 11 out of 10. Spider-Man: Homecoming. Okay. Doctor Strange. I'm not a huge fan of Doctor Strange. I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Okay. Black Panther, 10 out of 10. Thor Ragnarok, 12 out of 10. Avengers Infinity War, 30 out of 10. Ant-Man and the Wasp, 5 out of 10. Avengers Endgame, 1,000,000 out of 10. Spider-Man Far From Home, 8.5 out of 10.
And we don't have that we don't have to get into as far as Falcon and Winter Soldier as well as WandaVision. Now on to my rankings.
I never seen WandaVision or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, by the way.
You don't have Disney Plus?
Guys, I'll do my own. I'll just do the baseball movies. That's really what I really are big on. So
can we get into some sports movies after we're done yelling at each other?
Yeah.
My dad's gonna love this. He's gonna talk about this. I already know.
But now on to my rankings, and
Here,
this.
I'm gonna share my screen real quick so that you guys can see this.
Yeah, because I want to. Yeah, because I.
Alright. You gotta share it.
Oh shoot!
What happened?
Hold on a second.
You gotta
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Bingo. Okay.
Captain Marvel is trash. I hate Brie Larson with a burning passion, bro. She's such a.
PG. We're keeping it PG.
Okay, your channel's PG. Brie Larson.
PG 13.
Brie Larson is such a freaking fricker, bro. Butt cheek on a stick, bro. Such a freaking fricker, bro. Oh, I cursed. I'm sorry, I said fricker, bro.
Okay, now getting on to my God, how many movies have Marvel done? Like 23 of these. Okay, this is going to be hard, but I will do this in chronological order from the first Iron Man to the last one.
This is
No,
the
you're
order
going
in
off
which
of
you
this
should watch
list.
them. This is the order in which they suggest you should watch them, so we'll just go off like that.
Okay. Obviously, Iron Man. It was the movie that started the whole thing. It was the movie that really kicked the MCU off to the high gear. For a long time, prior to the Avengers, Iron Man was the first Iron Man movie was one of my 5 favorite. Forget MCU movies, obviously. Iron Man was one of my 5 favorite comic book movies at the time, man.
I'll be right back.
And so it's still in my top 10 favorite Marvel movies of all time. Robert Downey Jr. was absolutely born for this role. I know the villain in the Ironmonger was mediocre at best, but the connection between Tony and Pepper and the fact that we never seen a movie like this before, I'm gonna give the first Iron Man a 9 out of 10. The only reason why I don't give it a 10 out of 10 is because, well, Terrence Howard kind of breaks the movie down just a little bit, and like I said, the Ironmonger villain was mediocre at best. Then we get on to the first, the Incredible Hulk movie. I like that movie more so than most people. I do feel as though that it's a bit underrated, but I don't know, Edward Norton as the Hulk, as well as William Hurt as General Thunderbolt Ross, he is fantastic in that movie, and I just love the end battle scene between the Hulk and the Abomination. That movie is just all types of fun. But again, I'm well aware that it's one of the weaker MCU movies. I'll give it a 7 out of 10, just because the action still holds up. Edward Norton is at least decent in the movie. I'll give it a 7 out of 10.
What movies have you reviewed so far?
Now I'm breaking down basically what I would give a brief review of all the MCU movies to date. Then we get on to Iron Man 2. Again, I'm fully aware that Iron Man 2 isn't one of the stronger Iron Man movies. You could probably say it's one of the weaker bunch.
It's ass.
It's not that bad. It's fun. It's fun.
When
it's
I
charm.
watched it with my dad, I almost fell asleep.
Oh my goodness, dude! The whole race car chase scene between Whiplash and Iron Man still gives me chills every time he pops out that suitcase and busts out his Iron Man armor right out of the gate. Again,
I gotta tell you something. Okay.
What's good?
So there's this thing called ERJB. Okay. Evil Robot Jeff Bridges.
Oh my goodness!
That is, we're gonna rank the ER. There's a few ERJBs in every single Marvel movie, which is like stereotypical, stupid comic book villains. So
Again, I am fully aware that one of the MCU's biggest weaknesses, especially early on, were their villains. But when you do superheroes so freaking well, you can kind of just live with their villains being mediocre. But over the last number of years, their villains have picked it up mildly. The villains have almost been as good as the superheroes in some aspect. But then we get into Thor. I love the first Thor. I love the first Thor movie. In my opinion, that's the most underrated Marvel movie because so many people truly forget. So many people truly forget just how menacing, dark, and just suspenseful the Frost Giants were. I mean, these.
I would smoke the Frost Giants. It literally took Thor. I mean, not even Thor. It literally took Odin saving Thor and all his friends before being castrated by the Frost Giants. Okay,
the 2000 what's it called? The 2015 Knicks were a good team, bro.
Bruh. The only one smart enough to take down the Frost Giants was Loki. And how could you not? Tom Hiddleston nearly stole the whole. Tom Hiddleston kills it as Loki. That is the one Marvel villain that you know you can't take, that you know is going to deliver. Loki delivers every time he's on screen. And the fact that we're getting a Loki miniseries in just a few weeks. Tom Hiddleston, my God, was he a rock star in this? And this wasn't even his best villain. This wasn't even his best villain portrayal. As we'll get into that later on.
Okay, now you're a rock star.
Again, Loki, total boss in this movie. Then we get into Thor. I'll give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. Very solid. I like it more than I still get a kick. I still get a kick out of it. The score is still unbelievable, and this was really the first sign that Marvel, This was really the first sign that Marvel was going to be doing more obscure, weird, cosmic type of films. And then, as a matter of fact, we get into that a little bit with Captain America, the First Avenger. Honestly, I didn't know anything about Captain America as far as his origin was. Iron Man, I knew.
Wait, what? You don't know about Captain America?
Yeah, I knew Iron Man's origin. Oh my goodness.
Keep talking. Keep talking.
Iron Man's origin, I knew a little bit. I knew enough of it to get the grasp of it. Thor, obviously, I knew who he was based off the fact that my dad is such a big Thor fan. But Captain America, not gonna lie.
Spider-Man #1 gold, my guy. Signed by Stan Lee.
That is freaking boss.
No, that's not
Spider-Man is an amazing movie. I hate the people who hate Spider-Man. Like it makes no sense for people to hate Spider-Man.
How can anyone hate Spider-Man? He's one of the most relatable characters. He's one of the most relatable characters. Probably, in my opinion, he's the most relatable character in all of, not just in the MCU, but in all of comic books.
Who? Spidey?
Spider-Man.
No, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
But I'm going to ignore that. But again, as far as Captain America: The First Avenger, this was a solid movie, very good movie, a great way to introduce the Captain America story.
You can also watch if you want to watch Civil War, you can just watch last year's election, my guy.
But as I mentioned before, a lot of people feel like as though MCU, as far as their villains go, are trash. Loki and the Red Skull, back-to-back movies where Marvel just absolutely kills it as far as their villains. Red Skull was unbelievable in this movie throughout the entire time, and the fact that Captain America: The First Avenger was the first movie to introduce an Infinity Stone, I still find that ultra crazy. Not the first Thor, not the first Avengers movie, not even the
crazy. You know what else is absolutely weird as hell about the universe? Hot dogs are sandwiches, my guy.
I am going to try to ignore this child as he's trying to get me off topic. But again, the first Captain America movie, it is the quintessential Captain America movie. It was the perfect way to introduce Captain America to the MCU. The shield is iconic. The way Captain America just overcomes all the odds in this movie, being just that scrawny little kid that is willing to dive on a bomb, he takes the superhero serum and he embodies what America should be. Captain America, the heart and soul of the MCU, to most people, including myself. And again, I'm going to give this movie a solid rating. I'll give it an 8.0. I'll give it an 8.2 out of 10. Just a fun overall comic book movie that again perfectly introduces Captain America to the MCU.
CJ, have you watched Bad News Bears?
I did a long time ago with Billy Bob Thornton.
Yes.
I've seen that version of it, but I'm going to be honest, I haven't seen that movie, I want to say since like middle school.
That is one of the best movies I probably watched in probably a while now.
Yeah,
Marvel.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite sports movies growing up as a child, but it hasn't been something that I've caught up a lot lately.
I still watch all the classic baseball movies. 42.
Oh my goodness, yes.
When people were saying 42 is probably one of the most memorable movies because it basically talks about how African Americans could be really good at baseball.
Yes, and while we're at it, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. That was one of his first really big movies today. First, I believe he did 42. Then he did Jersey Boys.
And then he got paid. Then
he do another biopic before he was cast as Black Panther. Oh, that's right, and of course. Say that again.
Corey's here. I think he just put hey in the private chat. So.
It's in the private chat. Oh, here we go.
What's going on, my friend?
What's going on, Corey? Thanks you for hopping on, my man.
No, not a problem, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I finally got called with this thing. Realized it's not nearly as hard as I thought it would be. I'm definitely going to be wanting to be doing more of these. I think what I might do is whenever I rank movies, I'll do them on StreamYard. But whenever I'm just doing like a normal film review, I'll just post it on my camera. Post it on my camera and then upload it to my YouTube channel.
That's cool. I'll be on camera in about 2 minutes. I'm just finishing some stuff up.
Oh, okay. But now we're breaking down. We're giving out our rankings as far as the MCU goes. I just did phase 1. In terms of how I would rank the Phase 1 movies, I would say the Avengers is obviously the best one. Then Iron Man 2.
It's Iron Man.
As much as I love Iron Man, it's not better than the first Avengers.
Yeah, it is, bro.
No, it's not.
The first Avengers is corny as hell.
But that's part of the deal. It's
First of all, it's not corny. Just stop it. Just stop it right there. And second of all, again, Iron Man, it was great for what it was. But you get an awesome,
terrible villain, good movie.
Emo robot Jeff Bridges.
Yes, and whereas the first Avengers movies gives you great story, great cast, great character development, and a badass villain. Which, by the way, that is the next movie we're going to be getting to. This was the big one. This was the big one. This is what put the MCU on the map. The previous Marvel movies were hits. This was the mega hit. This was the movie that really broke open all the gates as far as not just the MCU but comic book movies, and that is the first Avengers movie. I'm not even going to want to get into as far as what the movie is about. I just want to tell you my experience.
It's about these group of people that like fight this thing. There's your.
I just want to talk about my experience seeing this movie opening weekend. First of all, small tidbit, but I remember I was still in high school when this movie came out, and all of my
I feel old now.
Join the club.
My dad my dad had like 6 kids by then.
Oh my goodness!
And what are there 4 that I'm not aware of? Because I only have 2.
Nah, bro.
And one of my friends were highlighting in the movie how there's this one part of the movie where the Hulk just beats the absolute crap out of Loki, and I'm like, duh. But the fact that so many of my friends were talking about this movie, I'm like, okay, I gotta go see this. It was me, my mom, my dad, my 2 younger brothers. We all went to see it opening weekend. And my God, did this movie blow up. This movie was a colossal hit. We went to the theater that summer at least 20 some odd times. And we paid to see the Avengers 4 times in theaters.
Oh my God.
We probably snuck in to see it like at least 10 other times. Whenever we saw another small movie, and then snuck in to see the Avengers movie.
I've only seen one movie twice in the theaters, and that's Homecoming.
No, we also saw Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, twice as well. Remember?
No, and I never saw the first one in the movie theater. I saw
second one. I'm sorry.
No, we saw that one once home and once in the theater.
Either way.
And every time, especially me and my mom, every time we walk into a screening to see the last few minutes of the Avengers movie, we always call it at the best part. You know what I'm talking about, Corey, as soon as I describe it. You have Black Widow chasing around Loki with one of those Chitauri gliders, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And Hawkeye has his bow and arrow ready. He shoots it nearly right between the eyes of Loki. It explodes in his face. Black Widow lands on the Avengers Tower, and the Hulk just absolutely takes Loki to town. Stop! Stop! I am a god, you dull creature! Yep. And I would not be bullied by...
CJ has laughed.
Basically, just smacks the holy ribbon shit out of Loki, throws him all over the ground, and then literally nearly throws him to the edge of the earth, and he turns back and says, "Puny God." I'm like, dude, what were you thinking?
Bro, I'm gonna be honest. Bro, in that situation, Hulk was Derrick Henry and Loki was Josh Norman.
It was worse. It was almost as bad as Mike
choking.
Exactly. It might as well be that bad. But as I mentioned before, the previous Marvel movies were hits, big hits, and so in a certain degree. This was a mega hit. This was the.
You're right. Here's the deal with it. The other ones all had great fan moments because you got to see the origins, you got to see important moments in their creation, things like that. Avengers the first was probably. It's definitely not the Avengers. It's definitely not the best Avengers movie. However,
it's close.
However, it has the most mark out fan moments you could want as a comic book fan, because, like you said, the Loki Hulk scene, the Black Widow Hawkeye scene, You talk about the first.
The circle around with with the whole, oh my god, who did the score? With the whole Alvin Silvestri score just buzzing around the whole theater. I still get goosebumps every time I see that scene live.
When you've got to see Black Widow go track down Hulk in India. I mean, every little moment that traces its origins back to the original Stan Lee run. And the original, I mean, all the original runs that were just so great. I mean, I think Phase 1 is probably overall the second worst phase.
However,
I think it's got the most fan moments of any phase because it's what we have been waiting since. We've been waiting 20 years plus for movies like this that pay homage to what we grew up reading. You know what I mean?
He doesn't read comics.
What? But see, neither do I. And I still go back.
He doesn't read comics.
You know what? But you don't have to, man. You can be a fan. I mean, I grew up. I don't know if I told you. We used to go to my grandfather's farm in upstate.
You already said this.
And I don't know if I told him earlier or not on another stream, but my childhood when I was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old was going to upstate Michigan, hanging out in my grandfather's attic where all of my uncle's milk crates full of comic books were. So I read X-Men 1. I read Amazing Fantasy 15 Spider-Man Origin. I read Captain America 1. I read all of the original in paper format when I was 5, 6 years old. And to see that come to film
was mesmerizing.
40 years later was just amazing. And that's why, as much as I consider Endgame and Infinity War almost like one large movie, even though it's like part 1 and part 2, I still consider Avengers my favorite as a fan because it finally put together everything that had been in our imagination for years.
Yeah, and obviously we're going to get into some of the later Marvel movies, especially Avengers, especially Endgame and Infinity War. But I say that's the whole beauty about all 4 of the Avengers movies is that outside of Age of Ultron, which I think we can all agree it's a good movie, but it doesn't hold up as well as the other 3. You can rank Endgame, Infinity War, the first Avengers movie, you can rank them however you want, and I wouldn't call you crazy. If you were to say Infinity War is your favorite, I wouldn't blame you. If you think the first one is still your favorite, I don't blame you. Me personally, Endgame is probably my personal favorite, but again, you could rank them however.
Howard the Duck is the most important person in the Marvel Universe.
Bruh.
I saw that in the theater.
I did not see it. I did not see it until I caught the replay.
So bad. It is so bad. And don't get me wrong, the Howard the Duck comics are actually pretty good. They're not great, but they're kind of told from like the Deadpool standpoint, where it's a sarcastic private detective who's a duck. I mean, it's funny, and it's got that break the fourth wall humor to it.
Yeah,
but the movie was so bad. I mean, that's like going back to like the Dolph Lundgren. Not who played, was it Dolph Lundgren who played the Punisher originally?
I don't know, but you might be right. It might have been Dolph Lundgren.
I wanted to point out, do you guys remember when Sony said that Marvel could no longer make Spider-Man movies after Far From Home?
Oh,
I was heartbroken. But then,
thank God they didn't go on for very long. It was like 2 weeks.
Yeah, they redid a deal like a couple of weeks later. Thank God, because listen, as much as I love the Sony movies, to me it makes true.
You like the Amazing Spider-Man?
No, I'm talking about the ones from my childhood. From my childhood. No, I would still argue Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 are 2 of the 15 greatest comic book movies of all time.
They're both top 5 because they
Daredevil
helped.
Movie's the best.
But
if you're watching this, bro, you guys give me another PlayStation, bro. Like, I'm down. Like, if you guys are down to give me another PlayStation, like...
I would really say the Daredevil movie is better than Endgame. Let's be honest here.
I'm gonna ignore you. Alright.
But the bottom line is, Tobey Maguire...
No, Logan, Space Jam is gonna be the best movie of all time, bro.
Bruh.
The LeBron version.
Why did they have LeBron? I would rather Steph, but okay.
We were talking about,
I got no comment.
Talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire are probably two.
Oh, trash.
Now hold on. Those two, the first Michael Keaton Batman, the X-Men 2,
Yes.
those are probably some of the best comic book movies that have ever been created. And they laid the groundwork for what are now the top movies.
Yeah.
If those movies didn't, like,
If it wasn't for the first Superman and the first Batman, we probably would never. Comic book
I didn't even
movies
get to
would.
Christopher Reeve. Yeah, I didn't even get to him yet.
Like, those are. I mean, I still argue, in my opinion, The Dark Knight is the most important comic book movie of all time. Is because it literally brought. Those other movies, yeah, they introduced the world to comic book movies, but what The Dark Knight did as far as what it did to the comic book genre is that it made these movies respected. The first Avengers movie is great. It's one of my all-time favorites.
Well, it's not going to be a war for script writing. The Dark Knight was well written, well executed, incredible blockbuster moments, incredible blockbuster expenditures to create these special effects. The actors,
and it was a perfect story.
Yes,
it was one of the most. Christopher Nolan is probably the best Hollywood director, like in the last decade, and this is his best movie by far.
And that's why, like, the third one, Dark Knight Rises, was so disappointing because
it's coming off of it's coming off of The Dark Knight.
That's like it's gonna be a letdown no matter what based off the Dark Knight.
Exactly.
Did you get a chance to read The Long Halloween yet?
Not yet. I'm doing so this weekend. Calm down. I'm gonna do a review on it.
I'm telling you right now, you're not gonna get the ending. I'll have to explain it to you.
Honestly, you're better off reading it twice because there will be things you missed the first time.
Okay, but yes, now we're getting into phase 2 of the MCU.
Real quick, I want to give you respect. I did hear from Logan real quick that you have serious respect for the Incredible Hulk movie.
I'm like, it's okay.
Stop.
It's okay.
It is. I am a huge Hulk fan, and I want to say,
it's horrible.
No, Ed Norton was a very good Banner.
Yes.
And the other thing, that's actually a guilty pleasure movie of mine. I don't know why.
Ew.
I have probably seen that movie at least a dozen times. I just like it. I really do.
Yeah, it's not one of the best Marvel movies, but it's okay. It's a good watch. I like Edward Norton as Bruce Banner. William Hurt kills it as Thunderbolt Ross.
Exactly.
And the end battle between the Hulk and the Abomination. Come on, man.
Even Liv Tyler as Betty
Ross is so good.
No, because you have to understand, she actually looks the part, and she actually is a good actor. Dude, wait till puberty hits, then talk to me. But don't ever squeak your voice. I mean, that's scary. It's like a hamster. It's like a gerbil on crack.
All right, bro. I'm sorry.
But that was just scary. I mean, and then on top of that, you're right. He can't get the Hulk to come out. He decides to drop out of the helicopter, and you just see the green eyes hit the minute before he hits the ground. It is one of those. And don't get me wrong, the Eric Bana movie, The Hulk by what was his name?
Ang Lee, the Ang Lee Hulk.
Terrible.
Wait, Logan, I have a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Nate.
On last night's stream, what the hell was the Eddie Lacy thing?
The
The man looked like a
The In-N-Out
900-pound
thing.
whale, bro.
in and out route, bro.
That was the
I
best.
watched it, I was like, what did he say?
No, he said, you know how Eddie Lacy's fat. Vince says he's gonna
Yeah.
run an in and out route, bro.
In-N-Out burger.
Yo, CJ, share the screen. Bruh, an in and out route.
Bruh.
And my other favorite moment for that was they actually laid the groundwork. Now I've heard they're going to do this. I've heard that Abomination is going to come back in Phase 4.
They're setting up a thunder. They're setting up. I don't know if it's going to be a series on Disney Plus or it's going to be an actual movie, but they're actually setting up a Thunderbolts spin-off movie.
Yep. So you've got Abomination, and I've also heard the possibility of William Hurt coming in as Red Hulk, which is really nice. And on top of that, they even laid the groundwork. Remember, what was his name? Mr. Blue is actually when he got the gamma radiation fluid into his head in the open wound. That is the precursor for the villain, the leader. So,
no, go ahead.
And he is one of the all-time great Hulk villains. You get a gamma irradiated brain on a scrawny. He looks like a Funko Pop in comics, but he is literally Hulk's viciousness versus like Mr. Fantastic's intelligence. You know what I mean? So it's
and let's not also
Hero.
and
Share that.
and let's not also forget that with the whole oh my goodness. And let's not forget that with the whole setup with
Best tight end in the league, bro.
You got that in and out route, bro.
CJ, I just have to say I have to head out.
Okay, no problem, Nate. Thanks for popping in, man. Talk to you later.
Nate.
Well, it's always me, CJ, and Dad, bro. Let me tell people about this stream. We gotta get people on here.
All right, cool. Thank you. But yeah, and one last point about the Incredible Hulk movie is that you. Oh no! How do I get rid of this?
What happened?
Is that it also sets up the potential. It also sets up the potential opportunity of mutants because of the whole Weapons Plus program.
Yep.
The one that Thunderbolt Ross had Bruce Banner make. That was ascended. That was essentially that's basically the antidote, the way of creating mutants, aka well, maybe not mutants, but it's the key to introducing the Wolverine.
But here's the other thing, and that's what I'm hearing for Phase 4 coming up with Doctor Strange 2,
the Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness, yeah. They're considering just kind of bringing in a conglomeration of the alternate universes, and then they're going to have all of a sudden kind of like the old DC Crisis, where all the alternate universes compressed into
they're
one.
They're combining almost multiple universes.
Yeah, so you might actually see where Fox and Sony and Marvel become one universe, since Fox is out of the game now, obviously, and Sony has the agreement in place now for a Sinister Six movie, for multiple
for a Venom crossover.
Yep.
CJ, can you share the screen? It's not a joke. It's the Marvel thing.
Okay.
But I alerted the Discord about the stream. Who's texting me?
You got through Iron Man 1, you got through Thor, you got through Avengers.
We went through Iron Man 2. We went through Iron Man 2. I will agree that I think Iron Man 2 is one of the weaker MCU movies, but I still attest that that's the whole beauty about the MCU. There is not a Batman and Robin in this franchise. All of the Marvel movies have at least been solid, if not okay. They're a good watch.
The only one that's borderline is
Thor 2.
Thor 2 is a weak movie.
I want to get my dad's opinion.
And for me, that's probably the weakest. That's probably my weakest MCU movie.
Yep.
Okay, Dad, I need to get your opinion on this. Okay, so you know how you love Thor 1, right?
Yeah, I do like Thor 1.
Okay,
Love is a strong word, but I do like it a lot.
The acting is good. Everything's fine. There's no serious problems with it, except this one thing: the script is garbage. Okay.
What?
The whole storyline is what? I like the new writers.
The script is good. The script is good. I'm sorry. Hold on. The storyline is very good. The script at times is weak.
No, this is the point of the movie. This is what happens. How do you hurt a demigod? Well, let's see. Let's give him a human girlfriend to worry about. That'll do it.
Oh my goodness, bruh.
Hey, but here's the thing: you never read the original Thor comics, bud. You don't know.
Yeah, I did, bro. Yeah, I did.
How many? The originals from the 1960s?
I'm over 100.
Did you really?
Yeah.
The one thing that I will agree on is that Chris Hemsworth and Natalie Portman have no chemistry in this movie.
Oh, and on top of that, she's gonna be the new Thor.
Oh, no!
You didn't know that, Logan? Lady Thor is...
But it's not going to be Thor's version of James Foster. It's going to be a multiverse, another universe version where...
I can't believe... See, and it's funny, I'm actually amazed they brought her back because she really trash-talked Marvel after she left Thor 2.
Yeah.
I'm actually amazed they brought her back because on top of that...
Well, okay. You want to okay? So basically, what happened is that Natalie Portman was so excited because she had thought one of her former co-workers, one of her former directors, Patty Jenkins, was supposed to direct Thor 2, but she had to drop out because I think she was directing another movie, and so when they went into Thor 2. Natalie was expecting Patty Jenkins to direct it. And so when she left the project, she kind of just, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, she mailed it in. Her performance was so lukewarm, not good.
You could have done the movie without her.
Yeah, you really could have had anyone engulf the ether into anyone. It didn't have.
They could have put it in Kat Dennings and made it a comedy, for God's sake.
Exactly. So.
I need to tell you exactly what this woman's character is in Thor 2. Seabass sounds good. Seabass.
It's fair. It's like I said. I'm not gonna hide behind this movie because, like I said, isn't it a fun watch? Sure.
No, it's not.
No,
It's okay, but I wouldn't call.
I'm watching you're suicidal, bro.
No,
bro, come on, stop it. Stop.
I've only watched it twice.
Yeah, I've only watched it a handful of times, but
more than half. What?
I watched the first time, and then I watched it a second time when you wanted to see it. And
when you were drunk.
Yeah, okay, whatever. I've been drinking 20 years. Who are you kidding?
But yes, as a matter of fact, I'm sorry, but we skipped the movie. A movie that Logan really likes. I find it decent. I think it's okay, but I like it for what it is. And that is Iron Man 3.
Oh.
I get some of the hate on it, but also I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt because I think a lot of people the fact that this was the first Marvel movie post the Avengers, I think a lot of people were expecting another blockbuster heavy movie, and it really wasn't. It's
more of a thinking movie.
It's more of a drama more so than anything else.
It shows you the downfall and recreation of Tony Stark.
This is what I love. His Tony Stark superpower is not the suit; it's his ingenuity, and he uses that in that movie.
Yeah.
He beat that Terminator chick using his brain, not just using some suit.
It's more so of a Tony Stark movie than an Iron Man movie.
Just like how Batman Year One is more of a Jim Gordon comic book than a Batman comic book.
And you look at it this way, the other thing that really tweaked a lot lot of people was the
Mandarin.
Ben Kingsley
I
as the
love
Mandarin.
the Mandarin in that movie. They changed it. It's good.
No, I actually, looking back, I actually like it. Now, see, there is a deleted scene or a post-movie credit where you see Ben Kingsley in prison.
Yes, it wasn't an end credit scene. It was like a one shot video where they're like, guys, relax. The Mandarin is real. He is in this universe, and now we're getting him in Shang-Chi: The Legend of the Ten Rings.
Let me explain this.
Shang-Chi looks sick.
I hate people that say they can't like a movie because the stupid person isn't the same as they are in the comics. If you say that and you like Guardians of the Galaxy, you're an absolute hypocrite. Guardians of the Galaxy in the comics is not even the same thing. Captain
America: Civil War is almost nothing like the comics, and that's where one of the
Civil War is bad. Just accept it.
No, it's a top 5 Marvel movie. Stop it.
Civil War was another one of those mark-out moments.
I'm gonna be funny with you.
Hey, ain't your
You're my dad. I get to talk to my dad, bro.
No, you don't talk like that. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that.
Okay, so basically, the movie would have been better after Endgame, or it would have been better if it was more serious instead of just people that were actually. They were like, "Are we still friends, bro? Are we cutesy?"
Here's the problem. Civil War, the comic book storyline, was over 150 comics and tie-ins. They're trying to condense it to an MCU universe, which is very different from the comic books, and also condense it into 2 hours. How do you, unless you did an actual Marvel phase doing the Civil War, well, you know what? You make a good point. Maybe they could have made it better by having Civil War be the final movie of a phase that had a 4 or 5 movie build. I will tell you, as a movie itself,
It's freaking brilliant. It's what
really,
it
It's
is.
really
Let me
good.
tell you something. Here's the problem that I have with it. Okay, so basically, the whoever they are told them they can't be the Avengers anymore unless they're with the government. Blah blah blah, because they killed people. Here's the problem. A lot of what they showed them, there's the clip of the guys showing them the videos of stuff that they did to kill people. Literally, only one of the things was their fault. In the comic book, the reason why it happened is because they were doing a superhero reality show, and the superheroes were being stupid, and they ended up shooting up a whole school.
Right.
Yes.
It wasn't. It was the villain they were chasing caused a school to go supernova, and but here's the other thing: if they had done Civil War, here's where they had to make a completely different. The lead up to Civil War is Avengers Disassembled in the comic books. It's also seriously tied in to Spider-Man and the X-Men off of House of M. And House of M was a 2-year build-up leading into the Civil War storyline. Even though the X-Men don't take a big part in Civil War, I mean, Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch, is not an Avenger. She's an X-Men first.
Scarlet.
Yeah, let's not do that. They had, and it's going to be interesting to see over the next 2 phases of Marvel if they change or retcon some stuff.
I doubt it, because they really do.
I think they're going to rewrite it into. I could see a retcon. I could see 1 or 2 small retcons. That'd be about it.
Okay.
Sorry, you can finish.
No, I'm good. I mean, the problem is they had as great as MCU is and was. They were hamstrung the first 2 phases before they got the access rights to Spider-Man, because they couldn't. There were so many characters from the Spider-Man universe who don't even play a part in some, who are not even like Norman Osborn and the Dark Avengers. You imagine if, and I heard they're going to do the Dark Avengers here in Phase 4 or Phase 5.
I think it's Phase 5.
Yeah, but imagine if they put the Dark Avengers in post Civil War where they were supposed to do it. I mean, that could have been really good. Where you had Bullseye taking the place of Hawkeye, you had Abomination taking the place of Hulk, you had Venom taking the place of Spider-Man, you had other guys. They were hamstrung by licensing restrictions, and I think for what they did, they still put out. I mean, when your weakest 2 movies are Thor 2 and probably
Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Probably Iron Man 2, and you have the weakest of the Avengers movies, Age of Ultron, which is still a good movie, but it's still the weakest of the Avengers movies. I mean, when you've got James Spader, who's one of the greatest all-time actors, doing the voiceover for Ultron, that's amazing. I mean, he's the perfect guy for that role. And I just think they were kind of hamstrung. But I tell you what, in spite of all that, they kicked ass.
And another thing, as far as, again, Civil War doesn't have that many stakes, it's because, first of all, again, and this was a point that I missed in the first Avengers movie, is that you get that distinction, that almost that bitter rivalry between Cap and Tony, like right away. Like as soon as they meet, you can feel that distinction of their two. Yeah, exactly. And so, again, going into Civil War, I knew that this movie had the potential to be almost something groundbreaking, and the fact that Civil War was one of the last big ensemble movies before we get that full out war in Infinity War. Again, if Civil War hadn't happened, the Avengers would have probably had taken out Thanos in Infinity War. But because they were separated, because Civil War literally split them apart, it literally caused what's the word I'm looking for? Distinction.
I know what you're saying.
It literally caused a ripple effect throughout the entire Avengers team.
All of
Phase 3.
Black Panther, you name it. They're all ripple effect.
Dad, you were right. After looking back at Black Panther, it was a great movie. I changed my mind about it.
Oh, dude, yeah, you would have probably just banned him for life. What was it, a couple of weeks ago, he was telling me Black Panther's not a good movie, and he's gone back and watched it since. I have probably seen that movie at least half a dozen times in the past 2 years. That is a absolute masterpiece of filmmaking.
It was the first MCU movie to be nominated for Best Picture. I disagree, but I'm not going to bash it because it's still a top 10 Marvel movie of all time, easily.
To me, it's top 3. I think to me it's third. I'm not saying my favorites. I think the best movies, I will always include Endgame Infinity War as one movie, as part 1, part 2. You want to say Endgame is better, I agree. But still, to me, they're part 1 and part 2.
Oh, Dad, I have this question for you. I asked CJ, can you agree Avengers in Infinity War was 28-3 Falcons?
I don't know how to quantify that because 28-3, the Patriots made the comeback. In Infinity War,
are you saying how beaten down the Avengers were and then come back and win? Okay, I can.
Okay, yeah. Okay, if you're going to point it out like that, yeah. 28-3 was literally a
You're saying Thanos is the Falcons. He's up.
Yes.
Okay.
But see, I can't even go that far because in the end, they had to use basically time travel. Ladies Jump, I'm sorry for skipping over a lot of these movies, but we'll get back to that very briefly. But again, to go back to that point, to me, I didn't grow up. I didn't start getting into Star Wars until later in my movie interest.
Star Wars is garbage.
No, see, but I'll tell you what. We got to go back to Marvel here because we have to get to Phase 2, which is probably my favorite phase, except for the last few movies. However, I was a die-hard Star Wars fan.
Star Wars is overrated as hell. It's garbage.
Okay, stop. Mute him, please. Star Wars was one of my all-time favorites until the prequel trilogy. The prequel trilogy killed it. Star Wars, if they had left it at Empire, Star Wars.
For me, Infinity War is the Empire Strikes Back of the MCU.
Exactly.
It is the Empire Strikes Back of the MCU, where even though the heroes have light at the end of the tunnel, the villain ultimately wins.
You think about it. In the first one, the rebels win. In the
Yes.
second one, the Emperor and the Empire
Dad,
win.
really appreciate it.
Oh, please, you've seen it.
No, I haven't.
Oh, that's right. You dropped out of Empire Strikes Back. That's right. You
I got too
boring and
tired.
slow. But to a bit, the old school Star Wars movies are not for the new fan.
I love you're talking about the new ones.
The teenage fans now. They look back and they think the new Star Wars movies are the best ones.
I never said that.
I didn't say you, but I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, the last trilogy was the best, except for the last movie." I still haven't seen the last movie.
I still haven't either, to be honest.
And honestly, I have no desire to.
Because Star Wars is trash.
I think since Disney took over, most of what they touch turns to gold. To me, they ruined what Star Wars is.
I wouldn't say they ruined. I wouldn't go as far as saying that. I think because Rogue One was honestly one of my favorite Star Wars movies, including the original trilogy.
Rogue One.
But I will agree that the last Jedi was a bit of a letdown.
Okay, I got a question. What the hell is happening with DC next month?
What are you talking about?
DC's gonna go out of business next month. Did you hear that?
What? Okay, I gotta do research on that because
Comics isn't gonna be a thing next month.
DC Comics technically is owned by AT&T.
Oh.
AT&T is divesting themselves of the print comic book brand. They are keeping Warner Brothers. They are keeping the movie films, all the animated films. They are literally. They're trying to find a buyer for their print division of DC Comics. So there are possible negotiations where certain companies may license those rights to DC Comics. Like you could see Marvel license Batman. Or what the biggest rumor is right now is that Robert Kirkman of Walking Dead fame is in negotiations to actually purchase DC Comics.
Okay.
And that would save DC Comics.
But if not, DC's over.
Well, over is a strong word. They already cut last month or 2 months ago, I think they cut another 16 titles. They are down to less than 25 titles a month, I think.
Jim Lee's gone.
Jim Lee is pretty much been ousted. The only one's still there. Jeff Johns is still there in some form or fashion. Brian Michael Bendis is still there when he left Marvel to go to DC.
No, he's gone.
Did he leave?
I think so.
I think Bendis is still in charge of Superman, I thought. Regardless,
Yeah, fire.
we could spend an entire 2 hours on DC alone.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Let's roll into phase 2 though, man, because I've got about another half hour or so. We need to at least roll.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're gonna start ripping right through these. We kind of already touched on Iron Man 2 and Thor: The Dark World. Give me your quick opinion on one of my favorite Marvel movies today. I still have it. It's one of my all-time favorite sequels of all time, and that is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
That is like I told you, I'm a huge spy and espionage movie fan, and this reminded me of a combination of a current day action movie with the 70s James Bond movies.
Yes.
It was so good.
And the fact that you have Robert Redford in this movie playing the lead villain, I'm like, come on, Marvel. What the hell?
Quick movie recommendation. Don't know if you've ever seen. Have you ever seen Sneakers?
No, I haven't.
Robert Redford, Sidney Poitier, Dan Aykroyd, David Strathairn, and somebody else. Oh, River Phoenix, one of his last movies he ever did. It is a 90s take on hackers. But
yes.
It is an old school take on what hackers did in the late 90s. But just the two leading roles of Robert Redford and Sidney Poitier, you will fall, and not to mention Dan Aykroyd playing the lunatic fringe nut. Like, just imagine Dan Aykroyd going all out Bill Murray style.
Mm-hmm.
It is a fantastic 2-hour watch. I highly recommend taking a look at that movie, man. It's a good movie.
I will definitely look into that. It's probably something that I'm sure that my dad, I'm sure it's something that my dad could also, get in.
My father and I saw it in the movie theater back in the 90s. It's a good movie.
Okay, I gotta buzz out real quick. I gotta talk to one of my nephews, so I'll be right back real quick.
No problem, man. Take your time.
I'm live streaming right now, Daryl. Okay. All right, I'm back.
That's all right.
Put my nephew in this place. Oh, but yeah, the
got roasted, bro.
the thing that I love most about the Winter Soldier, and you kind of get this thing especially late, and as far as the MCU goes, the MCU, while obviously it's all under one umbrella, but the fact that they do so many different type of genre movies within their franchise is ridiculous. Thor is a Shakespeare. It's a Shakespeare play. It's a Shakespeare play. Ant-Man is a heist movie.
Yes.
Really, if you think about it, Infinity War is almost a heist movie, and this is a classic political thriller.
Yes, it
this is an old.
All the President's Men with Robert Redford from the '70s. It's just like
this. This is an old school. This is an old school political thriller, and I absolutely adored it. Again, growing up, Captain America really wasn't a hero that I was really all that invested in. But then this movie came down and like, Captain America is my guy. Like, I'm sorry, Iron Man. This is the movie that did it for me as far as Captain America, in my opinion, has always been the heart and soul of the MCU. Yeah. Like, what Captain America represents as far as Marvel movies go. This was the movie that made Chris Evans a superstar, and the fact that you introduce Falcon,
nobody's favorite superhero,
bruh. The fact that
I like Falcon, man.
I love the Falcon.
I like the way they introduced them to each
other.
Or they're walking, they're doing laps around the Washington Memorial in the
Damn, Carrie has left the chat.
Around the Washington Memorial pool. And you just see on your right,
on your left.
He lapped them like 15 times, but they had that bonding moment about being former military guys who they've been in the dirt, they've seen it, and they both had hard times adjusting to life after the military. And
exactly,
it's like guys who serve together. They say they are bonded by more than blood. They've been in it together. Even if they've never served together, they have that bond. And they showed that in this. It became a natural friendship for those two.
And the thing that it really, Logan, I'm sorry, it really pissed me off when he said, "Oh, Black Widow is nothing but sex appeal. I'm like, what are you talking? Black Widow absolute shines in this movie. It was she delivers a big time performance. She has so much depth. She has so much depth in this movie. Her whole backstory, her friendship with Steve, her relationship with Nick Fury, her history with the Winter Soldier, it just all connects so beautifully. This was really the movie that made me want not just a Black Widow movie, but a Black Widow movie done in this way. Like, give me a Russian spy thriller with Black Widow as the lead. Take my money any day of the week.
Like, I'll admit, Iron Man 2, she was there for sex appeal. Period. Avengers, I know they had to introduce her. At the end, she became the kick-ass assassin that she
Yes.
The guy who writes her lines needs to get fired.
She's so good. Her script was awesome.
She's perfect for that role. Now, come on, you have to admit that. I will tell you.
You guys can keep sipping. I'm good.
Her Avengers 1, her role was kind of limited. But then again, you think about it, they had to bring together all these guys.
Yes.
But in
this one,
the Winter Soldier, that to me, I think was her breakout Marvel role.
Yes. Absolutely. And then, of course, we get into one of your favorites. It's still a favorite of mine. I just don't love it as much as everyone else did. And that is Guardians of the Galaxy.
I got the shirt on. I am Groot.
Boy, this to me was the big one for Marvel. Because as I said early on, to me, most of my favorite Marvel movies are the ones that takes the biggest chances. This one was by far their biggest challenge today. Because listen, if you're a comic book fan, you know who Iron Man is. You know who Captain America is. You ask even most comic book fans. My dad is a diehard comic book fan. Even he didn't know who the Guardians of the Galaxy was. And the fact that this blew up the way that it did, I'm like, okay, I gotta see what everyone else is seeing with this movie. And I absolutely adored it from the first get-go.
Endless fun, man.
It's like, so much. This was really my first introduction to Star Wars in a way.
You know what? I can see that. It's a natural stepping stone. And on top of that, it's kind of like, you have to admit, almost all Adam Sandler movies are inherently bad movies.
Almost, yeah. Especially his later ones.
You've got to admit,
his later ones are actually bad movies.
The soundtracks for his movies are epic.
And the soundtrack, oh my god.
The soundtracks for the Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's a character in its own movie.
Yeah.
It's just as big as any, I'm about to say Star Wars, it's just as big as any Guardians character. It's just as big as Star-Lord, it's just as big as Gamora, it's just as big as Yondu, Nebula, Drax, Rocket, Groot. I mean this movie is
for everybody too. I mean, who would have thought Chris Pratt from Parks and Recreation, who was the chubby dude in Parks and Recreation, becomes ripped and plays Star-Lord. Now, attitude, yes, but to look the part as well, I mean, they nailed. I mean, what's her name? Zoe Saldana.
Zoe Saldana
as Gamora.
Gamora, such a badass. And again, the reason why I feel like this movie, I talked to Logan about this a little bit earlier, but this was really like the first big Marvel movie that went deep into the cosmos. Like, Thor did that to a certain extent, but this was like the first obscure, weird,
there were no
deep, fantastic. Yeah, Thor had ancient gods almost. This one had legit extraterrestrial.
Star Wars, Star Trek meets Marvel's what this was. You know?
Exactly, and like you said, the soundtrack is basically a character in its own movie. The only reason why this movie isn't a 10 out of 10 for me, Lee Pace as why am I blanking on his name? Ronan as Ronan.
He's the definition of an ERJB.
Yeah, he is.
There
was not enough backstory in that I understand that.
He's literally just a power hungry guy that wants to destroy a planet.
That's all it is. He could have been replaced by any actor in that role. It's not
He could have been replaced by Kanye West.
Oh, he could have been. Think about it. That's how mailed in the acting was for that.
And then of course we get our first sneak preview of Thanos.
Yeah, and Thanos was like a 6 or 7 movie lead up.
Yeah.
Little hints of it here and there.
Next up, Avengers: Age of Ultron, which we all know it's an okay movie. Whatever.
I like it. Again, I like him. I like him more than most. But if you're being real, it's easily the weakest of the 4 Avengers movies.
Yes.
All right, Ant-Man, 10 out of 10.
Ant-Man is a fun heist movie.
It's such a fun movie, and the thing that I like most about this is that, again, with the MCU, even though obviously it's under one umbrella, you get these totally different genre movies within each MCU movie. Like I said,
this and a caper movie is what it is. That's exactly what it is.
And the thing that I like, and the thing that I like most about it is how the MCU tempers down its scales. In movies like Infinity War and Endgame, it's all about saving not just the planet; it's about saving the universe. This movie, it's just about the man trying to save his family, trying to save his daughter, trying to reconnect with his daughter, and I absolutely adore that storyline. And my brother from another mother, Michael Pena nearly steals this film. His whole Louise story is endlessly funny. I adore Louise so much, and really both of the Ant-Man movies, where he just goes on these tantrums, these rants, where he tells these entire ridiculous stories. I'm like, yo, this dude is a spin-off movie on his own. He is so freaking entertaining. I love Michael Pena. Whatever role he's in, I'm all for it. And him and Paul Rudd's chemistry is just endless. Yeah. Totally endless.
Yeah, I could go on and on, but yeah, this. I mean, like I said, it's not for everybody, but it is a really fun movie.
And because we already got into Civil War.
Yeah, well, we'll skip. We covered Civil War. Doctor Strange. I have been a huge Doctor Strange fan for 30 years. I was actually pleasantly surprised by this movie. I don't like certain things.
It has an ERJB, like a bad ERJB.
No, not bad. No. I don't like.
Castellius was fine, but Dormammu was the big villain.
I would like to point out the guy. I forget his name. The guy that got to play the main villain in this movie would have been the best Doctor Doom of all time.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
Mads Mikkelsen.
Mads Mikkelsen was terrific in this movie. He just didn't have a whole lot to do.
My sister is a simp for Hannibal Lecter. I just like to point that out.
Anthony Hopkins is the man, but
oh yeah, no, but Mads Mikkelsen played Hannibal in the Hannibal TV series.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
But yeah, Doctor Strange. This is such obviously it's such a weird movie. But the thing that I really like most about Doctor Strange is that, you really kind of get into, obviously Doctor Strange is his past, but you get a small hint, of the fantastical as far as, the mystical reigns within this Doctor Strange.
This is where they bring Dungeons and Dragons into Marvel. Where you have
exactly.
You know those dreams that you have some nights where you're like, when you wake up and you're like, what the hell just happened to me? That's exactly what Doctor Strange is. Doctor Strange
is, again, I understand how weird and contextualized it is, but really, for me, I said this about the first Captain America movie. This was almost the perfect way to introduce Dr. Stephen Strange, or Doctor Strange, excuse me. Obviously, he's going to be a major role. He's going to have a major role stepping up as one of the leaders of the event, as one of the leaders of the Avengers squad. But I give Doctor Strange I give it a solid 9, maybe 8.5 out of 10.
It's at least an 8. It's at least an 8.
I'd give it like a 7.5. I'm not a big fan of it.
We're not off that far, though.
And then me and Caesar already talked about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and we know you love it.
Yeah.
And this isn't even a superhero movie. This is just a comedy movie. Let's be honest.
I mean, yeah. If you really think about it, at the end of the day, Spider-Man, it's Oh my goodness. Who was the guy that did the Breakfast Club movies?
Oh, John Hughes.
Yeah, this is a John Hughes Spider-Man movie where it's pure coming of age. I don't really even like to qualify it as a superhero movie. This is just a superhero. This is just a superhero coming of age story, and I love every minute of it. Tom Holland, he embodies that Spider-Man character so freaking well. Even the little stuff that we got from him in Civil War, his relationship with Tony Stark is just pure gold.
Yeah, some kid broken. Oh, I'm from Queens. I mean, it's just like one of those little things, like when him and Cap are squaring off and just tossing quips back and forth. And that's the thing, is he is probably the best guy. When you're reading Spider-Man,
he's a kid, and they got a kid.
He's a smart ass. I mean, that's what
I want to
Spider-Man
be completely honest, guys. I want to be completely honest. This is Miles Morales, but his name is Peter Parker. In this movie, if you read the original Miles comic books, it's the exact same thing. Ned, remember Ned?
Well, don't forget, Ned in the comic books becomes Hobgoblin.
I did not know that.
I have heard rumors.
Ned.
Have you seen Ned recently in real life?
Yeah, he's ripped.
The dude's lost 120 pounds.
What's his name?
Jacob Batalon.
He's ripped, dude. I think he's going to be the Hobgoblin coming up here in one of the next few movies.
We'll see. I have to see to believe it. But honestly, at this point, once we get past the Civil War, I call this the race to Infinity War. Because really, it kind of just, outside of Thor Ragnarok, it really just kind of sets up smaller movies until we get into our colossal nightmare, which is Thanos.
You gotta share this screen. I just put it up.
And also, I want to share this. It is up until this point where, yes, Marvel has a track record of having kind of mediocre villains, but for me, this was starting the turn because Michael Keaton as Falcon, not as the Vulture, was phenomenal.
Oh, dude, he is epic.
He is so epic, and that scene when he's in the limo with Peter Parker, and he figures out that he's Spider-Man, and that whole speech was like, I'll kill it. And like the way Michael Keaton threatens Peter Parker sends shivers down my spine every time I watch it.
I am so glad that DC is bringing Michael Keaton back as Batman in the Flash movie.
I cannot wait for it.
I cannot share the screen. I just put it on the backstage thing. But I just want to put it out there. Michael Keaton would be the best Norman Osborn of all time. And there's
look at him on the right there, man. That's how skinny Ned is now.
He is. That kid has lost some weight, big time.
120 pounds.
And I'm not even gonna lie, I did not know that he was bald when they first cast him as Ned.
Movies thing backstage.
Oh, but okay. But yeah, as a Spider-Man Homecoming to me, it's still probably my second favorite Spider-Man movie of all time, right behind Spider-Man 2. But I really enjoyed it for what it was. The only reason why I wouldn't rank this any higher is because it's a small nitpick thing, but are they really making Spider-Man Tony Stark Jr.?
Yeah.
Like, all of his villains have been leftovers from Iron Man's Rogues Gallery. Like, I love the Falcon. I love the Vulture. But he's an Iron Man. But he for the way they set him up in the movie, it sounds like he's just another score from Tony's past.
Meanwhile, he is one of the classic Spider-Man villains.
Yes.
I put the list backstage again.
Okay.
But you think about this, and this is the only gripe I have with Spider-Man.
Just let him be his own guy.
Not only that, in the MCU itself, they made him go from being a kid to saving the universe and fighting Thanos in less than 2 movies. Spider-Man has not had the... I understand he did it before in the other movies, but you've got to see Tom Holland. When are we going to see the New York fight scenes against classic villains? When are we going to see him duking it out downtown with Kraven, with Venom,
with Doc Ock? When are we going to get Green Goblin again?
Yeah, and Norman Osborn. I have heard rumors that the next major villain will either be Kang the Conqueror or Norman Osborn.
I wouldn't be surprised. I would be
Conqueror
surprised.
is basically Tony Stark's young version from 1,000 years in the future. And then you also have Norman Osborn, who is almost a better villain as Norman Osborn than the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
So I think
I was gonna say the best storyline for Norman Osborn is probably the Spider-Man PS4 game.
yeah,
But as we get into the last couple of Marvel, as we get into the last couple,
Ragnarok was fun,
I
man.
no,
So-
Dad, remember, me and my dad had to watch this movie more than 4 times to like it.
Thor Ragnarok for me, to me, up until Thanos, this was probably my favorite Marvel villain to date.
It starts with
Kate-
Led Zeppelin, my
Kate Blanchett as Hela. What a
She's
perfect casting. You get one of the top actors on the face of the earth, and you get her in a Marvel movie playing as your top villain. Thor, they should have, and listen, I love the first Thor movie, I like the second one for what it was, but they should have done, this is how Thor was meant to be in the MCU.
Yeah.
Just going around different aspects of the cosmos, going to different planets, traveling all over the galaxy. This is what Thor should have been from the get-go, not wasting his time with a stupid love interest in Jane Foster. This is what we should have gotten right away. Just a buddy cop movie. You got Thor, you got the Hulk, you got my man.
Think about it, man. This is the lethal weapon of the Marvel Universe with this.
Exactly, and you get and you got my guy playing the Grandmaster. Come on,
Oh, Jeff
this
Goldblum was awesome.
no, this movie just kicked so. This movie just kicked so much ass. It's
Plus
unbelievable.
Another
It started with
fantastic
Led Zeppelin.
soundtrack with Zeppelin starting things.
Oh my goodness! And the fact that you have Thor battling off against Searcher right away. I'm like, how bananas is this movie going to get? And in all honesty, this is probably the funniest Marvel movie I've seen
Oh, it's hilarious.
in years.
It's absolutely hilarious.
To me, it's this, and I know it's not MC, it's this and Deadpool as far as my 2 favorite Marvel comedies in a comic book movie.
And even when they bring Valkyrie in, she's hilarious.
She's hilarious. She's hilarious. And the fact that you have the Hulk speaking, I'm like, what? Excuse me? I'm like, come on. Thor Ragnarok just kicked so much ass. For me, it's my favorite Thor movie. Everything that they did right with the Thor character, they did in this movie. And it's just unbelievable. So much comedy, so much action. There's literally not a dull part of this movie. There really isn't. Like it's either slim pack action or great comedy, and Loki. Tom Hiddleston absolutely kills it as Loki.
I can't wait for the new series on Disney Plus. I can't wait for the new Loki series. It looks great.
Absolutely. So now we get it.
The new Loki series basically is a time travel caper because all the stuff that Loki caused has split the timeline, and they have to have him fix it.
Yeah.
So it looks pretty fun. Black Panther. What more can you say? Ryan Coogler just killed it. Chadwick Boseman was one of the most unsung actors of his generation. Absolute perfect casting for this. I wish that this could have been a trilogy in itself and gone on, because I couldn't imagine what else they could have done that would have topped this. This was one of the perfect movies. It introduces and creates another entire universe within Marvel. It was awesome.
Chadwick Boseman, and honestly, God rest his soul. What a terrific actor, terrific performer. This was really the cast.
He was filming this while sick too.
This movie, this movie was literally the casting of a lifetime. Obviously, Chadwick Boseman had done other previous good roles. Me and Nate were actually talking early on. He did 42. He did 42. He did, what was it, Jersey Boys? Yeah, obviously he did Draft Day. But this was really the movie that put him on the map. And I swear, everywhere I went, after seeing this movie, everyone was screaming, Wakanda Forever! Wakanda Forever! I'm like, oh my goodness, I already know that this movie is going to blow up in so many ways, more than one. And the fact that this movie was only projected, I mean, this movie, obviously, Marvel thought was going to do well, but this movie was only projected to make about $800 to $900 million in total box office. And the fact that this movie, domestically, this movie outperformed Infinity War.
Yeah.
Domestically. Yeah. And so for this movie to be as big as it did was just tenfold, and honestly, to me, the God...
Sorry, do we even have to get into Infinity War and Endgame?
I mean, we kind of have to, but if you guys want to skip out on it, I'm going to make this one last point about Black Panther is that, obviously, like I said, Chadwick Boseman is absolutely terrific in this movie, but again, Marvel, knocking it out of the park with their villains. They hit it out of the park with Vulture and Spider-Man Homecoming. They knocked it out of the park with Hela and Thor Ragnarok. Michael B. Jordan kills this movie. He steals every scene that he steals every scene that he is in. And listen, Andy Serkis was good for what he was as
one arm guy.
Claw.
As Claw, as Ulysses Claw, but Michael B. Jordan, the swag, the confidence, when he marches up to Black Panther's throne, his kingdom, and basically just shuts it down in one scene with Angela Bassett, I'm like, yo, this dude, I know they killed him off. They gotta figure out a way to bring Michael B. Jordan back. It's somewhere. I don't care.
They're going to, and they can based on the comic books. And honestly, I don't know if have you read the Black Panther series at all? But the way they had Michael B. Jordan act is the same way his character represented in the comic books. He's perfect. And on top of that, getting people like Angela Bassett, who is one of the greatest actresses of all time, to come and play this movie. I mean, just seeing the sheer amount of talent that they arranged for this movie was insane.
You got my man Forrest Whitaker in this movie.
Yes, I forgot about that. Forrest Whitaker, he's one of the most underrated guys of all time.
Facts. And so this movie just kicks so much ass. The box office just absolutely, it destroys all of Marvel's expectations. Again, R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. My God, he's going to be missed. I'm just so interested to see how they're going to do Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. That there would not
Shuri taking over. I've also heard rumors of Michael B. Jordan coming back in and taking over.
I wouldn't mind seeing Shuri take over.
There's rumors that they're going to do a CGI Chadwick Boseman.
No, they flat out said they will. Googler said he will not do that.
And all respects to him, but now
they said it would not do him justice. They would, even if they said, like they didn't find in Fast and Furious 7 where they said goodbye to Paul Walker at the end. They said they wouldn't even do like a 2-minute CGI scene to see Black Panther getting killed off because it would simply be disrespecting what he did for the franchise and what he did for the role. So Coogler flat out said he will be killed off screen. They're not going to have it.
But now we get into the big one. This is the one. This is the one that literally broke all the barriers. This was the movie that we have been promised since the first Iron Man. This was the culmination of everything that Marvel was building, everything holy has led to this movie. And I tell you what, forget about talking about how awesome this movie is. I just want to go into the anticipation route. This movie was so highly This movie was hyped to so many endless degrees. I remember before I started doing YouTube, I was still working as a babysitter / tutor, and I remember getting the first trailer reactions to this movie, like right before I got up to go to work. And my God, you cannot put into words just how magical and triumphant this trailer was when it first.
Logan and I were counting down the days when the trailer first came out. Remember, Bud? I mean, this was And it's funny.
The trailers alone were an event itself.
As hype as it was, it didn't even do it justice because a lot of times you'll see trailers are better than the movies. The trailer.
Yo, this movie's already 3 years old.
Yeah.
3 years old.
Oh
They
my
filmed
God.
it 5 years ago.
They filmed it back to back. Remember?
Yes, they filmed it. They started filming in 2016. So the movie itself is actually 5 years old from when it started filming. That's scary.
And listen, man. This movie, if we're gonna praise about this movie, it starts and finishes with Josh Brolin as Thanos.
Oh yeah.
What a effing performance!
Trash
And
in this movie.
Stop. But, he actually brings a humanity to Thanos. You don't agree with him, but you can see why he does these things, and that's what makes it a good villain. You have to be able to see things from his point of view. And
He's the Donald Trump of the Marvel Universe.
No,
Oh my goodness.
Let's not even go there. But the bottom line is, you can see as misguided and
there's
wrong as they is.
there's a soul to him. There's a way. There's a method. There's a perfect method to his madness. And like you said, you may not agree with him, but you believe in his mission.
You know why he believes what he does.
And you really come to grasp to what he's trying to do from the get go. As soon as and it's funny, me, my dad, and my youngest brother, we all saw, going back to Thor Ragnarok, that end credit scene where Thor and Loki are sitting up in space, and you see this ginormous ship just totally takes over. The ship that Thor and Loki was on was about this big. The ship Thanos was on was about the size of my room compared to what Thor and Loki was on. And so I'm looking towards my dad, and I'm like, please don't tell me that's what I think it is. I'm like, and he's like, yeah. Excuse my language. Shit is about to get real. And the minute this movie starts, you can tell right away, this is going to be
Loki is basically disposed of like garbage. It's like, how was it that? That's how powerful.
Yo, I have one thing to say, Mr. Stark. I don't want to go.
Bruh, I nearly broke down into tears when that happened.
It's so sad, man.
I nearly broke down into tears, and the whole, again, going back to early in the movie where Ebony Maw, where he stops whoever the big alien was, Corvus Glaive, I think his name was, when he stops him and Thanos is fighting the Hulk, he says, let him have his fun. I'm like, do you know who he's fighting? And then he just rips the Hulk's hands away from him and just beats the holy living shit out of him. Yeah. I'm like, excuse my language, we are fucked. Yeah. We are fucked. Because if he can do that to the Hulk,
what you just said is the Giants going up against Casey.
Bruh, if he can do that to the Hulk, we are done for. We are screwed.
Can do that to our secondary work.
We are absolutely done. And then the Hulk gets transported from Thanos' ship all the way to Earth, and he warns Doctor Strange, they're coming. Thanos, he's coming. I'm like, oh my god, this is about to be such an unreal performance. And the fact that the whole deal with the MCU is that this is not just your heist movie. This is an intergalactic space opera heist movie. Because it's really, if you think about it, it's
a culmination of 15 plus movies coming together, and it literally
blew everyone away.
It exceeded every expectation. It really did.
There's only been so many movies that I literally walked out feeling like not even just uncomfortable, just felt numb. Like, talking about the Avengers, we gave Thanos all he can handle, and he still won. He still had this whole plan under control, and every time I go back and watch the first Avengers movie, you remember that scene when Nick Fury is interrogating Loki about almost warning Nick Fury about this true power that's coming. I don't think
you don't know.
I don't think he was talking about himself every time I watched it. I think he's talking about Thanos, because at that point Loki had already met Thanos and his entire army. Yep. So his whole deal was like, I'm just coming to rule Earth, but if you guys are going to fight back, you have a much bigger problem than I did, that you are not going to see coming. And the whole build up of Thanos coming, he's coming for all the stones. The only thing that I wish I could have seen is I would have loved to see the destruction from Xandar of Thanos wiping out everyone and getting the Power Stone. That was the only thing I wish I could have seen.
Even if they showed like just some flashbacks of what happened.
Yeah, exactly. And look, and be honest with me. Because obviously we all saw this movie on opening day. Do you guys think?
I had to wait 2 months.
We waited about a month and a half.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
In Jersey, man, some of the theater lines were absolutely sick.
No, it was here. It was here.
Were we here? Were we here in?
Yeah.
Well, we were here. We were here.
You refused to buy tickets online because apparently we were going to get hacked.
Well, no. The previous time I bought tickets online, I actually got my credit card stolen, so that's why I refused to buy tickets online for a while. So.
You good? But the reason why I wanted to point is, do you guys think Gamora knew how to get to the Soul Stone? Because honestly, going into all the Marvel movies, at this point I had known about the Infinity Stones. I had to explain to my mom in the simplest of fashions that we had the Tesseract in the first Captain America movie. Then we had the Ether. Then we had the Mind Stone. Then we had
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Then Guardians of the Galaxy, the Power Stone.
Yep.
That was another one.
Doctor Strange, the
Time Stone, and then the last one that had been introduced was the Soul Stone. And so, right where Thor meets the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's explaining the theory of the Infinity Stones, and when you get to Gamora about saying, "Oh, no one has seen the stone. No one has seen the Soul Stone. No one even knows it exists." You can obviously see she knows about the Soul Stone, but do you think she knows how it works? That Thanos needed to kill what he loves most.
Now, I think she knew where it was. I think she knew what it could do. I don't think she realized it required the sacrifice to get it.
Exactly. So, again, you talk about highlights of this movie. This movie just has endless amounts of highlights, from the opening scene to Iron Man putting on that new suit of armor. Which, by the way, favorite Iron Man armor right then and there. Oh my goodness, what did he call it?
Armor.
The what?
Armor.
Bruh. What did he call?
Nanotech.
Nanotech. It's nanotech armor. A little bit of
It's literally grafted to his skin.
Literally. And
not to mention the next iteration of Spider-Man's Iron Spider suit, which was awesome.
It was so epic.
Remember activate kill mode, bro?
Oh, that was the best. It was so funny.
No, I don't want to kill anyone. We'll save that for later. But again, man, like as I told you before, this is really.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it legit sounds like the Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
No, I'm using my headphones. I'm not using my headset anymore. But it's like this is the Empire Strikes Back of the MCU. This is the Empire Strikes Back of superhero movies, really. I mean, the way this whole movie came about, I still can't believe it was 3 years ago. I still can't believe how much hype was surrounding this movie. And when the movie ended, my God, I was going home that day.
You felt broken, man.
Everyone did. Children cried at my theater. Children legitimately cried in my theater.
I cried for the wrong reason. It's called the whole movie got spoiled in advance before I saw it because I didn't get to see it until a month and a half afterward. Thanks, Dad.
You're welcome.
And so, again, for me,
No,
this
literally- oh, no, never mind.
this movie is literally, forget 10 out of 10 or 20 out of 10. This movie is infinity out of
It's
10.
an absolute masterpiece. It really is.
It's garbage, bro. The acting is just horrible. The script is bad. The plot is trash.
But thankfully, right after this movie, we get a little bit of a closet pleaser. We get a little bit of we get a little bit of a. Ant-Man and the Wasp, for me, it was the perfect movie coming out of such a heavy movie of like Infinity War. It's lighthearted, it's fun, it's goofy. It's almost like a Saturday night. It's almost like a Saturday cartoon where you're watching two of your favorite superheroes. But man, the Wasp, she kicks so much ass in this movie. I love Evangeline Lilly.
Ant-Man 1 better, but this one's
I do too.
You give it a 1 to 10. I give it like a 7. It was a good movie.
Yes.
Dad, Captain Marvel was hot garbage. Let's be honest.
I'll tell you what. I actually really love the script. I do not like Brie Larson,
Oh my
and that
god.
is why
He's really sipping out
she's
here.
being replaced in the next movie. That is
She's
why-
not getting replaced, you know
Oh,
that.
no, sorry. She's no longer the lead. She's one of 3 leads. That's why it's called the Marvels.
Okay, yes.
They're bringing in Ms. Marvel, and they're bringing back in Blue Marvel.
This man
Yes.
said Miz.
Oh yeah, that's the title of the new movie.
The Marvels.
The Marvels.
Alright, now, you boy.
I will say, it was a good movie.
The
Did I
cat was
enjoy
the
it?
best
Yes.
part.
The cat, the flirting is the absolute best. And
We get back Phil Coulson in a flashback.
yep.
And then,
Endgame, we can just continue on, man. It's like a culmination.
And you talk about, there's no way, because if you realize, the first and the second Avengers movies were separated by what, 3 years?
Yeah.
There's no way Marvel could have had us wait 3 years following Infinity War. The fact that we had to wait a year for this, I was like, bro, wake me. I wanted to, as soon as Infinity War ended, I'm like, you know what, I watch Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I will skip Captain Marvel just so I could go right into Avengers Endgame.
And they
This,
really released it, 2 months after Captain Marvel, too. So what
exactly.
A month.
It might have been a month.
Yeah, maybe been like 6 weeks tops. Because I remember when we went to the movie theater to see this, Captain Marvel was still playing in the same movie theater, too.
The trailer for Avengers Endgame came out before Captain Marvel did, I believe.
Yeah.
Literally, the whole row, me, my dad, my mom, and my sister, during the final battle.
I mean, even my wife, who is, she loves Chris Evans.
She thought Rondé Barber was a running back.
I mean, my wife is not a comic book fan, but she can appreciate good movies. And even she walked out of Avengers going Endgame saying, you know what, that was really good. And if you can do that for a non-comic book fan, that's impressive.
When I was talking to her about the new Venom trailer, she said Carnage is the red guy, right?
Yes.
She knows that. No, dude, he just snotted on himself in that one.
I'm sorry. I haven't blown my nose in a minute, to be fair. But yeah, Avengers Endgame. This was obviously a movie that everyone and their grandmothers was going to see opening night, opening weekend. We literally bought tickets like a good 2. Yeah, we were trying to get tickets in like 8 months in advance before this movie was.
We only waited about 10, 12 days, right? But we didn't wait that long to see it.
No.
Yeah, but it's just
I did
the
have
whole.
everything spoiled for me.
Well, just going off from how this movie starts, I mean, everyone knew as clear as day, as soon as poor Hawkeye and his family, the fact that he was literally stuck on house arrest because of the Sokovia Accords throughout the events of Civil War. The events of Civil War still plays in fact into this movie,
Yep.
and the fact that Clint Barton lost his family because of that.
And
I'm
he
like,
lost his mind as a result. Is what happened. I've read the Ronin comic book when he became Ronin in the comic books. Obviously, different story, but in essence, it's the same.
I have a question.
It's the same, different story, same outcome.
I have
You know
a
what I
question
mean?
for you guys. Is Lawrence Taylor the Thanos of the NFL?
oh my goodness.
No,
I
that'd be Eddie Lacy.
No, bro. Instead
No,
of
you know
Infinity Stones,
Eddie Lacy is Galactus, the Planet Eater.
instead of Infinity Stones, he needs cocaine.
Bruh, you heard it, and I told my dad this coming out because obviously this was the final chapter of our heroes, of our Infinity Saga heroes. Iron Man.
No more Iron Man. No more Black Widow.
Iron Man, what he's meant as far as the MCU goes, honestly, if you had told me 15 years ago that the biggest friend
is the linchpin of the Marvel universe, I would have been like,
you're crazy. If you had just told me Iron
sober? I mean, he was almost at the end of his career.
Exactly. And then he gets the role of a lifetime playing Iron Man. It is literally, in my opinion, I still say it's Captain America, but for most people, they still say Iron Man was the heart and soul of the MCU. I'm not going to entirely disagree, but for the base of this argument, he is the godfather of the MCU. He really is. And his importance of this movie, when obviously going back to Avengers Infinity War, with that whole battle with the attack on Titan, first of all, that was some of the best visual effects fight scenes that I've ever seen. I mean, I knew
when they threw a
The
moon
effects
at
of that
Iron
movie was
Man.
trash.
When Thanos throws a moon at Iron Man,
Bro,
and I'm like,
this man Eli Manning to Manningham just
And Logan, I'm sure you're going to get a kick out of this, but I'm sure you've seen that meme where the Giants early in the season are getting trampled by a bunch of teams, and then Thor's lightning comes down, and all of a sudden you see Stormbreaker flying around, and ultimately it's Daniel Jones posing as Thor, coming like, you guys are so screwed now. That was the first time I had ever, forget cheered, that was the first time that I ever roared in a theater. With that whole scene of Stormbreaker blasting around all those aliens, and then he just catches it and just stands there like a badass. I'm like, oh, you guys are so screwed now. And again, that whole battle.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, you can finish.
That whole battle scene in Wakanda and the attack and the battle on Titan. Obviously, I knew how powerful Doctor Strange was. I didn't know that he was that OP powerful. I'm like, okay, I cannot wait for the next Doctor Strange movie. And really, Doctor Strange is the one who figures it all. Let Thanos win the battle. We're going to ultimately win the war, because this time we're going to have literally everyone come together. And honestly, I knew coming into this movie, everybody that got dusted was coming back. Black Panther is coming back. Spider-Man is coming back. The Guardians are coming back. Nick Fury. So honestly, we know all these heroes are coming back. How? No idea.
Have you guys ever seen the meme of Thanos throwing the moon at Iron Man? But it's like Wii baseball. Nice shot.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, even the epic fight scene that lasted, it was a 20-minute fight scene at the end there.
I watch that fight scene at least once a week.
Assemble, boys.
I mean, and tell me how awesome it is to finally see Cap pick up Mjolnir.
Bruh,
God damn, you died, you stole everything.
Bruh,
I mean,
first of all, the fact that Thanos can kick all three of our co-Avengers asses by himself, I'm like, how are we going to survive this? How are we going to win this? And then you see the hammer rise.
Yep.
You see the hammer rise. I'm like, is that Thor? And then it hits Thanos, and it comes out like, holy shit! Shield and Mjolnir at home. I'm like, come on!
Oh, the best is when was it Mjolnir comes back to Thor and Cap grabs
Stormbreaker
and throws.
Here, you have the little one. I'll take the big one.
I'll take the big one.
Oh my god! Come on! And it's like, obviously, Corey, you used to be a professional wrestling fan, right? So you know how when the Royal Rumble happens and everyone pops for their favorite superstar. Throughout that entire portal scene, everyone was cheering or popping for somebody.
Oh yeah.
The crowd erupted when obviously Black Panther and his army came out. Then obviously the next big war when the Guardians was coming out and you see Drax. Me, I popped so hard when Spider-Man comes running out of Titan, pops the helmet off. I'm like, yeah, that's my boy.
Stark, I'm back. I mean, it was like, this is great.
I'm like, this is just magic. This is I don't even know how to describe. I don't know.
What was the first movie? 2000. What was the first one?
2012. You talking about the first Avengers movie?
No, the very first MCU movie. Incredible Hulk.
2008.
That was 12 years of culminating.
Logan was still a toddler.
Logan was a peanut, man. Logan was 7 pounds when this movie came out.
And now, now the way that this whole thing came, came together. First of all, I gotta give a shout out to my girl Gwyneth Paltrow. She kicked so much ass in this movie.
I hated her in Iron Man the series, but she really brought it in.
That whole scene where her and Tony are flying up with their beamers coming out, I'm like, this is just beyond awesome. Yeah. This is just beyond awesome, man. That stand up, that was almost like a Western cowboy versus cowboy standoff. Like, who's gonna blink first? You got Thanos as his army versus the entire Avengers assembly. Like, and when Cap picks up Mjolnir and he whispers to the crowd, Avengers! I'm like, this is it! Assemble. Like, everyone lost their freaking mind.
And dimes in the office.
And the way Ant-Man just punches that alien right across the throat.
Even the way Ant-Man comes out as Giant Man, holding Rocket and holding Clint Barton in his damn hand to get them out of that flood. And he's like, okay. And he just starts loading up on the alien ships. I mean, it was just... This scene will never be duplicated. No,
ever.
It won't be.
There would never be a scene. I don't care if you give me 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. You can give me 1,000 years. There would never be a scene as powerful as that moment.
CJ is gonna live to 1026.
Bruh, you can give me another lifetime, and there would never be another scene quite like that.
12 years to get to that point for most
13,
people.
Or no, 12.
For most people.
That's a lifetime. That's almost a lifetime. That is literally the MCU is literally Logan's childhood.
Well, you think about it. Even guys like me, I've read almost every Spider-Man comic. I've read probably 3/4 of the entire Marvel run. So we're talking. I've read close to probably 50,000 Marvel comic books.
Oh god damn, son!
I mean, I've read most of Marvel Unlimited. So you think? I mean, plus I've read all the originals. So for me, you're talking every comic since February 1961, and this all came together. I mean, so you've got minimum 12 years of movies for people to watch. For some people, as much as 50 years of canon to refer to in the literature. I mean, and to have it come together in such an absolute perfect way. I mean, I can't think.
When Danny Dimes raises that Lombardi trophy.
And you know what? If that's what it is, man, it's what it'll feel like for all of us too. But look, man, it is getting really late.
Real quick, before your boy leaves.
Yeah, but they play at this point. We only have one more movie to talk about.
Yeah, but after that, I want to get everyone's top 5 favorite movies of all time, and then your boy can leave.
Okay, but yeah,
it's a great movie.
If Infinity War is Infinity out of 10, this movie is Galactus out of 10.
Yes.
This movie just embodies everything great about the MCU. The whole way that this thing came together. Again, there will never be another franchise up to this level ever.
Yeah. And then Far From Home, it's just good.
It's a good again. It's a good movie. It's a much like Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Jonah Jameson.
Bruh.
J. Jonah Jameson is the Stephen A. Smith of the MCU.
Bruh.
You also know that he plays the yellow M&M in the M&M commercials.
I did not know that.
Damn, son.
I did not know that. But again, folks, that's our breakdown. We literally ran through all the MCU properties.
Right, DCEU breakdown, the stream will be like 10 minutes long.
And it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that the last movie was 2 years ago.
Exactly. That's why I'm so dying for Black Widow, because I am just so. Don't get me wrong. WandaVision was terrific.
I have to watch this. I have to watch that, and I still have to watch.
It looks so garbage.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Well, I mean, is it go? Well, would I like it?
Honestly, Logan, I don't know, because WandaVision is so different from any MCU product. I feel like, here's how I feel. I feel like you'll probably dismiss it, like the early episodes, but as you get in towards the 80s, the 90s, and the modern era, I feel like you'll warm up to it. Corey, you would love the first couple of episodes, because it literally, not to make fun of your age, but it literally takes place in the 50s and 60s.
It goes back to my childhood when I used to watch reruns of the 50s. I mean, I used to watch reruns of The Honeymooners growing up, you know what I mean? So, it's now, I mean, yeah, I was born in 78, but I still can refer to all those 50s and 60s television shows that I used to watch with my parents, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My dad hates Spider-Man Far From Home.
No, I don't hate it. I did like Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio.
Yes.
Manipulative boy.
To me, I give it a 7 out of 10. It wasn't.
I give it a little bit of higher score. I like Homecoming more because it had that John Hughes feel to it. It had that coming of age vibe that I love.
So you go from the master Michael Keaton villain,
yes,
to Mysterio's your friend. We know he's not, but he's your friend. You know what I mean?
Let's be honest, guys. Let's be honest. This is Peter Parker Far From Home, not Spider-Man Far From Home.
I could somewhat agree to that, but I still feel as though Spider-Man still has a lot to live up to, because he's supposed to be the heir apparent to Tony Stark.
Yeah, and I tell you what, now you know who the linchpin is for for half the movies out there who we haven't talked about. Jon Favreau. Happy.
Oh my God, Jon Favreau as Happy. He is so effing good.
He directed Iron Man. If it wasn't for him, this wouldn't exist. Like everybody talks up the Russo.
He was the one that got he was the one that got Robert Downey Jr. as casted as Iron Man.
Yep. If it wasn't for him, the Russo brothers wouldn't be in the Marvel Universe.
No.
And I will also say I love Jon Favreau as a director and as an actor. I have for years. But dude, the man has not aged well. Oh my God, he's so old now. Oh my God.
It's still fascinating to me. The fact that this guy is as old as he is.
He's 61 now, I think, or something like that.
Let me look it up. Jon Favreau is 54.
He is. I knew he had to been. I knew he had to been around
this. My God.
I knew he had to be around the same age as my father, who's 55 now.
And then, top 5 favorite movies of all time, my guys.
Now, you're just asking me my favorite movies of all time, not what I think is the greatest movies of all time.
Your top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Okay, my top 5. I gotta get a few horror movies in there. I'm gonna say, in no particular order, except for number 1. The Shining is one of my all-time favorite movies. Halloween. Jaws. The Dark Knight, and my number 1. You can make fun of me all you want. I don't care. It's the movie that I grew up with. The Lion King. Lion King.
Okay, my top 5 in no particular order except number 1. Okay, Rocky, The Replacements.
Yes. Wait, is it? What's your number 2?
The Replacements.
Okay.
Keanu Reeves football movie. That's a fun movie.
It's a very fun movie.
Endgame.
Yes.
Damn. I'm thinking here, boys.
Escape from Alcatraz, you know that.
Dude, shut the. Kick him from the stream right now.
That's your number one, right?
Yeah, Escape from Alcatraz is number 1, and number 2 is probably The Amazing Spider-Man. No, it's probably damn. I'm thinking.
Alright.
Probably The Dark Knight.
It's a good one. Okay, so we both have the Dark Knight in our top 5s. Okay.
I will actually add that as well in my top 5.
To me, it's the one movie Marvel can't beat.
Yep.
Actually, no, I replaced The Dark Knight with the first Jurassic Park.
That's not a bad replacement.
That's a good one too. Let's see. So I have Jaws.
Yes.
I have Aliens, not Alien, Aliens,
Wow.
and I love Aliens.
I still gotta review Aliens.
The Thing.
Yes.
Saving Private Ryan.
Oh no! I replaced Jurassic Park with Hacksaw Ridge.
Great movie. Great movie. So I have Escape from Alcatraz, Aliens. What else did I say? Escape from Alcatraz.
Jaws.
No, Jaws is not. Oh, Halloween has to be in there for me. It's my all
Yeah.
anytime.
Halloween and Home Alone are the two must-see for me. Well, once we get past the summer season, Halloween and Home Alone are my two must-see movies
We do
towards the
same
end of
thing
the
in
year.
house. Every Christmas, it's Home Alone 1 and 2, and Halloween 1 through H2O.
Yes, and fun story, and then I'm going to wrap this up with this one story real quick. As I told you, Corey, I am a die-hard horror fan. I've been a horror aficionado pretty much since I was Logan's age. When I was about 16, 17 years old, my dad he got accustomed to giving me horror movies for Christmas or my birthday every year, because Christmas is literally only a week before my birthday. So when I was a junior in high school, my dad got me two classic horror movies for Christmas that year. He got me the uncut version of The Exorcist, as well as the original Omen movie.
Oh,
For years.
I forgot about the Omen.
For years, because I know the premise of The Omen because I've seen the remake so many times.
Wait, what?
The Omen. It's a classic 70s horror movie with Gregory Peck, Lee Remick.
Actually, it focuses around the birth of the Antichrist.
Yes.
Oh my god! Ugh! What the?
And the kid they got to play him, well, just seeing this kid is like, you heard the 80s movie Problem Child, the little redheaded demon kid, like with John Ritter. It was a comedy. Just imagine that kid was perfectly cast. This kid who plays Damien is
He's that times 10.
Yeah, he's literally the perfect typecasting. He is basically Thanos in a 5-year-old body.
Pretty much, if not more diabolical.
Yeah.
But anyways, the reason why I wanted to point that out is because going into that day, I knew I was going to watch one of them, so I decided to ask my dad, who's obviously seen both of them. I was like, okay, Dad, which one should I see first? Should I see The Omen first, or should I see The Exorcist first? He, surprisingly, because The Omen is his all-time favorite horror movie, he suggests that I see The Exorcist first. So, we're at my uncle's house for Christmas, right? And he's asking me, what did I get for Christmas? I'm like, yeah, I got a bunch of horror movies. And so, later that day, I go over to my mom. I'm like, okay, Mom, I'm going to go home. My youngest brother, Dylan, who was like 7 or 8 at the time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go home, I'm going to wait till Dylan falls asleep, and I'm going to watch the uncut version of The Exorcist. And my mom is like, Christian, stop. If you never take any advice from me, any advice at all, do not watch the uncut version of The Exorcist right before you go to bed. And I kid you not, I literally looked at her like this.
Come on,
Mom,
right.
this is me we're talking.
Come on.
This is me we're talking about. I've seen just about every classic there is to come. I've seen the original Halloween. I've seen the original Shining. I've seen all the Nightmare on Elm Street was like, this is me we're talking about. Like, Christian, I'm telling you this now. The Exorcist is a far different experience than any horror movie that you've ever seen.
From the soul, man.
I'll tell you right now. You want to know another movie you don't watch before you go to bed, which I've done multiple times? The Conjuring
What?
2.
Eh,
This man is not scared of The Conjuring, my guy.
the first Conjuring really scared me. The second one, it's good, but it's
It was a jump scare fest.
Well, to be honest,
Yes.
it hits us harder because we're not going to get into that right now, but yeah.
yeah. But so, anyways, again, the reason why I wanted to point that out is because I literally stopped about halfway through the movie. Logan, you may want to turn around because this is probably too violent for you. You know the scene that I'm talking
I've
about.
seen the movie before.
We've seen the movie.
Oh, okay. You remember the scene in which Lyndon Blair was literally getting attacked by this creature, and he attacks her mom, and right before she leaves the room, her head does a complete 180.
Yep.
Oh.
That, I kid you not, I literally stopped the movie halfway. I literally did a Home Alone and be like, Mom! Christian, what's wrong? She turned her head completely around. I kid you not. As soon as I went to the kitchen, my skin was about as white as my Crocs. I was about as white as paint.
Looked like you've been bleaching for weeks.
Exactly. I'm like, Mom. She's like, Christian, I don't want to hear it. I warned you not to watch this movie. And so, for the rest of that night, all I did was rewatch Home Alone over and over and over and over and over again until
Go to a happy place. Go to a happy place.
and I literally didn't go to bed the next day till 6 o'clock the next morning. That's how bad that movie scarred me for life.
You know what's weird about me? Okay, I cannot fall asleep thinking about a horror movie, but if I watch a horror movie and then go to bed directly after, I sleep like a baby.
And it's funny, that entire night, all I could think of was that little girl's face half possessed.
Stop!
Like, I'm like, okay, I gotta stop, otherwise I'm literally gonna freak myself to death. So, you talk about painful movie experiences. There has never been any experience I've ever had quite like watching The Exorcist for the very first time. Again, I don't know what I was thinking. I was 16. I was in my horror movie prime, but it did not matter because this movie literally scared the absolute, excuse my language, shit out of me. It literally scared me shitless.
Yeah, like,
So-
I have almost no problem with horror movies. I do draw a line on certain horror movies, like The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh my god.
Yes.
I have a real problem seeing sexual assault in a movie. The Hills Have Eyes. I Spit on Your Grave. A couple of the other classics like that Wes Craven really brought to the forefront in the 70s, and then the remakes are even worse. So like, I actually turned off the remake of The Hills Have Eyes. I couldn't watch it. My wife and I are like, you know what, I'm good here. That one actually.
You're a big Human Centipede fan.
Human Centipede didn't make me sick. I thought it was literally a nauseating film to watch, and it was I wouldn't even say horror. It's torture porn, is what it is.
Have you ever seen the movie The Green Inferno?
Oh yes.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
I could never watch another cannibal movie ever
No,
again.
that one is rough.
I've never seen it, but I've heard about it.
Good. Actually, I'll tell you right now, it was a good movie.
It's a great movie, but it's not an easy watch.
What exactly?
I watched it over the course of 2 nights because I actually got sick during the barbecue phase. And I'm like, all right, that's enough for the night. I'll finish it tomorrow. I mean,
What exactly is it?
basically forget the backstory, but the bottom line is a bunch of college Amazon activists go to the Amazon and get captured by a cannibalistic tribe. I'm not going to spoil anything else about it, but between the whole hunt, chase, and cannibal scenes, it is rough.
Brutal.
Rough.
It is.
And it's funny.
This makes
not-
any of the Saw movies look like child play.
Oh yeah, I mean, and it's funny because it's really not a bloody movie.
Yeah, it's all suggestive.
I mean, you see, like, you know for a fact that all they did was put a rotisserie chicken on the goddamn grill and just spin it around. But the way they decorated it up to look like one of the prisoners' bodies, it's like, what the hell? I mean, it makes you think like, oh my god.
And that's one of the things that I really love about horror is that it's not the imagery that scares me. It's what you think you see is what's terrifying.
The thing that makes that movie more scary is you know that shit happens in real life.
Yeah.
That's the thing. What if? Yeah, that's the thing. The more believable, the scarier one. Like, have you ever seen The Green Room with Patrick Stewart?
I've seen it once, and I don't really remember it all that well.
Patrick Stewart plays basically a white supremacist leader, and this punk band is going around the country touring here and there, and they actually score a gig at this one hall that they don't realize is actually run by a bunch of white supremacists. They're a punk band, but they witness somebody getting beat down. It's them trying to escape half the movie, and don't get me wrong, it's not gory, but it's the suggestiveness of seeing that this could happen in real life. That's why I like Michael Myers. Forget Michael Myers 4, 5, and 6. And
just Halloween 1 and the reboot of Halloween.
Yeah, and even Halloween 2. I can live with that. Because that is just, what if you get some really strong, freaked out guy who's going to chase people? That is the ultimate. It used to be called The Babysitter Murders, is what it was originally called before they called it Halloween. The movie
Texas Chainsaw.
Texas Chainsaw was based on real life. What about the girl, the babysitter answered the phone? Not Scream.
When Stranger Calls?
Yes, When a Stranger Calls. Certain movies
Scream
like
is
that.
the best.
Oh, Scream is awesome too.
I love seeing him get his ass kicked.
Scream 1 was a great movie. Like, I like movies that have an element of realism to them that, you know what, and that makes them even more creepy. Like Jason and Freddy, great series. I love them for what they are, but you know they're pure schlock. They're pure horror. They're a fun watch.
They're total fiction. It's total fiction.
Guys, is pretty much the motto of the story.
I mean, Jaws. It was originally a horror movie, and even though I don't consider it horror, I consider it action by today's standards, is a fantastic movie.
I consider Jaws a mashup of a little bit of everything. It's definitely got horror elements.
Yes.
It's very suspenseful, but really the last half of it, the last act of it is just pure adventure. Like the whole scene the whole time when they're on a boat, it's just, I don't want to say it's mindless action. It's a fun adventure movie with horror elements.
I know Logan hasn't. Have you seen Hostel?
I have. Oh my!
That's a rough movie because you know that crap has happened.
What's Hostel?
Yeah. It's an Eli Roth movie. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's pretty much a bunch of just arrogant American pricks going to Europe. They get invested with these girls, and they basically set them up for murder. That's really just the basis of the movie.
Hostel 1, Hostel 2 were good. Hostel 3, they lost.
Did it come out in 2017?
No. Well, I want to say 2006.
Yeah, something like that.
You want to know what?
Hostel, not hostile like violent. Hostile like a hotel.
You know what genre of horror gets me the most? I hate Supernatural, bro.
That's my favorite type of horror. What is?
No. I don't mean I hate it. I don't mean I hate it. I love the movie, but I just can't watch it.
Why?
Which movie?
Supernatural movies, like demons and stuff, I can't watch that.
Have you ever seen The Shining? Because that's my favorite supernatural horror movie.
And even that could be kind of... See, that to me is borderline supernatural.
Well, I never told CJ what happened to us. I'm not going to get into that right now. But
yeah, we should actually... You know what? Yeah, I would say that for our next stream, we'll take about half an hour to tell you. We actually lived in... We had a demonologist at our house. We were in a seriously bad environment in New Jersey for about 2.5 years. We had full investigations going on. We actually...
Did you call Ed and Lorraine Warren?
we actually met with a demonologist who had worked.
We called
with
a
them.
priest up. He ran out of the house because he was
The
scared.
local priest and deacon ran out of the house. I mean, we had some. We'll get into it next time. We had some seriously bad experiences.
Okay, well that's gonna end the stream. Logan and Corey, thank you for hopping on. This was a lot of fun, man. Almost wow, 3 hours literally just came and went. But I will definitely be sure to do more of these, whether it's comic book movies, horror,
Me and you have to do a
just.
review of the worst superhero movies of all time.
Oh my goodness, that's probably good. That's probably going to be my next video, leading right up into the summer. We'll do our list of the worst. We went through the best. Now we got to rip through some schlock. We're going to discuss some of the worst comic book movies of all time.
It's either
Spoiler,
Daredevil or the Amazing.
Steel.
It's either
spoiler alert: Batman and Robin is easily number one, but I digress.
Spider-Man 2. It's the Amazing Spider-Man.
Just a quick preview too. Batman and Robin was Logan's favorite movie growing up when he was a little kid.
I'll give him a pass because he was a child, but if he still like that crap now, then we have a.
Now. He hates it.
Okay.
He hates it. Now.
Okay, but again, that's going to be the end of this video, folks. Again, thanks for Corey and Logan's Giant Zone. You can subscribe to his channel. I'll definitely leave a link in the comment section down below. Corey, Logan, a lot of fun. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. This is your boy CJ Talk Sports, and I am out of here.
Wait a minute.
Well, no, I'm sorry, wrong outro. This is your boy, CJ Talks Movies, aka Mr. Christian Jones. I'll see you guys next time.
Take care, brother.
Alright.